Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, everybody all around the world, wherever you may be, hello and welcome to another episode of The Watchable with me, your host, Jean-Luc Welch. Let's make some noise, everybody. Clap it up, get excited on this Tuesday afternoon, starting off your week strong with the host of content, debates, arguments, and discussions, all in regards to the boxing world and beyond. And we got big fights coming up this weekend, like with Ben Rodriguez going up against Vargas as he looks to conquer another weight division on the road to the big gold of Inoue as the biggest goal in his career. Potentially, though, we got some new news as to where that career may lead to with this fight post Vargas outcomes. If he does win, it may not be the main kahuna in a way. It may be his brother that he's going to be trying to be fighting next. We're going to be talking about that on the show. Also with this, we got some more stuff in the world of the drama between Keyshawn Davis, Devin Haney, Shakur Stevenson. Now everybody's throwing jabs. All of a sudden, we're starting off this week. Everybody throwing shots at each other. All got people excited and potentially invested in when are we going to see these types of fights, what's going to take place. And if I'm going to be completely honest, I got some stuff I need to get off my chest about why these talks, rhetorics, and point of views from the perspective of looking at these fights may be happening, but nothing actually happening, starting to get a little bit on my nerves. I'm not going to lie. As well as we got some time later on in the show, we're going to be talking about the NBA Finals with Game 3 going down with the Spurs tying the series up. Oh, yes, indeed, Victor Wembanyama having 35 points. The second youngest player ever with 35, 5 and 5 in a Finals performance. At only, 22 years old, just about right under Magic Johnson, right above Kobe Bryant. Oh, it's turned into a very invested series now with them taking a road win away from the Knicks home turf. First time with them in the finals since 1999. But again, we're going to discuss that and so much more on this show with you all today. And we appreciate you tuning in. We appreciate you joining in on our humble abode of a show. And if you would, go ahead and leave a like on the video. Yes, indeed. Come on. Like the video, like the stream. Get the likes up on this channel and help the world know that this is the hottest show in all of the globe to go and join in on the debates and discussions surrounding the sports landscape. Also, if you would, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Come on and join the empire. Be a part of the hottest show in all the globe and be a part of our community. Be a part of our regime as we go to dominate the rest of the media landscape in the sports world. Hit the notification bell so you know whenever we post right here on YouTube and on every podcasting platform imaginable. Also be sure to go through and rate us 5 stars on every podcasting platform. Apple, Spotify, you name it, we are there. And if we're not, tell us. We will get there. Absolutely. No question about it. And please, if you can support the channel, we got Cash App, PayPal, links down below in the description. If you can support the show with any means necessary, super chats, super gifts, stickers, and the like, all to help me pay the bills and to invest back into the show to make it bigger, better, and stronger for your viewing and listening pleasure. And please, please, please be sure to share the show with everybody that you know so we can keep on building up this empire to get all with you and your support, helping us do what we do to turn this show into a magnum opus of fun, entertainment, debates, and discussions, opportunities to learn, grow, laugh, and absolutely take a load off on the day as you're rocking with us on our show. But with all that being said, we got a lot of sports to talk about. We got boxing to delve into. So it's time for us to do what we do best. And ladies and gentlemen, it's time to step into the ring. Yeah, buddy. Come on, let's get it started. Yes, sir. We got a lot of show to do, and we got a short amount of time to do it. So with that being said, the first thing that we're going to discuss on this show, we can either go the likes of the Devin Haney drama, or what I would like to start this off with is the likes of Ben Rodriguez, and it is fight week for the second best fighter in the world. Oh, yes, indeed. It's true. It's true. It's absolutely true. It's time to go and see Ben Rodriguez potentially blow up the next division on his road to fighting the likes of Naoya Inoue looking to take the reins and take the helms, as solidifying not just his status as, in my opinion, the second best boxer in the world, but also building up his cachet, star power, resume with accolades, more titles, more championships, and now fighting against Vargas in this. Hold on a second, my apologies. Hold on a minute. Let me take a sip of my coffee as we're starting off the day. By him fighting against Vargas, now with a title on the line, has everybody buzzing because we are working on our way to see just how dominant we can expect the likes of Bam to be, as we expect him to keep on moving up into the ranks of 122 eventually and taking on the likes of Inoue, Nakatani, and the rest of the other divisions at 122, which he had said earlier is his plan. Now, with that being the case, we gotta look at this a little bit on a standpoint of Vargas as an opponent. Why is this impactful? Even though most people say, Bam should be able to win this, and be clear, he should be able to win this. I'll give you a spoiler alert right now that I think he's gonna get knocked out. He's gonna knock out the likes of Vargas probably within 7. Yeah, he probably gonna knock him out within 7. I would really hang my hat on that, and for a good reason, because we're looking at a man who everything about him technically is absolutely sublime, almost untouchable versus the rest of the world when it comes to the boxing and the sweet science aspect and the all-around ring generalship and power that he has put on display every time he's come out into the ring. And on top of that, his opponent Vargas, for lack of a better term, is vastly, with all due respect to him as a talent, understandable, vastly under the mantle of ability that we normally see for the likes of Ben Rodriguez. That's the truth. That's the truth. Be clear. We have to be, and I say this with respect, be very clear about this whole situation. Ben Rodriguez is leagues better than the likes of Vargas. There is no doubt in my mind about that. The issue is the concern of dealing with the potential elevated size and power that Vargas would bring to the table. Because yes, Vargas is stiff, no question about it. He is a man that fights like a wood plank in some regards. He's very much robotic in many means. Now, that doesn't mean all robotic styles of boxing is bad. Again, Dr. Steelfish Klitschko, who ran the heavyweight division, he was more the quintessential 1-2 type of heavyweight puncher that ran the division for 10 years. I'm not saying it's bad, but I am saying within that robotic structure, within that very stiff landscape of a frame that he fights out of, though he has power, he is indeed incredibly vulnerable. Incredibly vulnerable for the likes of Bam, who's able to not just break windows, but break faces with one punch. That's right. He is. Ben Rodriguez is a brother who can be a one-hitter quitter. Yes, he can. You better believe it. And even though it's going up against Vargas, who, mind you, if I have my resume correctly, he has fought above the weight classes of 122. I think I believe he fought at 126 at one point in time in his career. If I'm wrong, please, again, correct me. Like I said, you all are here to help me as much as I'm here to hopefully help and entertain you all. But even still, I digress. When we're looking at the likes of Bam against Vargas, we are needing to see, though this is a test that he should be able to accomplish, this is going to answer some things about what can come down the line when he looks to make that leap into the realm of the big boys and the big divisions in boxing. This is for the bantamweight title. This is at 118. He's been at 115 for a lot of his career. Now he is in a division where it ain't just him that is the big kahuna, though he is the most talented fighter there at this point in time. He can be vulnerable. The very thing that the same concerns that we had said for the likes of Terrence Crawford when he moved up to 154 or 168, the very same things that we said when we looked at Usyk moving from cruiserweight to heavyweight, the very same things we said when we looked at fighters jumping up in divisions, all still bodes the same for the likes of Bam. Where does the physicality plateau now start to take a real effect in your success as a fighter to be what we normally see in the ring? even if it's against opponents who normally are not anywhere close to the ability that you would have at the division that you were coming up from. The skills perspective, Bam is better. Leagues and bounds, no question, untouchable. Angles and footwork, power and dexterity, speed and adaptability, perception of what's going to be happening with the punches that are coming his way, and the ability to already predetermine 5 different ways to go and counter and put you to sleep, as well as straight up can dog you out. Bigger, small, shorter, tall, it doesn't matter. He's a man that ends them all. That is the best versions of what we've seen when it comes to Ben Rodriguez in his entire career. And I don't think it's going to change no time soon. It's just interesting to see what it's going to be like if he gets caught at this bigger weight division against Vargas for the WBA bantamweight title at 118. This is going to be very interesting because people still hold it against him that he got knocked down against Juan Francisco Estrada, if you remember all those years ago. Yes, indeed, the fight that put him on the map. It was the fight that put him on the map. As we go back in time a little bit, when he fought against Juan Francisco, when he fought against Estrada, and he was going through, and it was against a legend, against somebody who was a bona fide Hall of Famer, a bunch of fights throughout his career, and we got to see that brother get knocked down and put in a vulnerable state that we had not seen up until that point against anybody else in the world of boxing. This is also along the lines of when he was getting ready to fight the likes of Sonny Edwards, who also helped put him on the map. But again, during that similar vein of timeline, he went through and got caught, got hurt, got put in trouble, and we were all saying, oh my. And like we've seen with the media and like we've seen with anybody in reference to just fans in boxing, when you have one pitfall, everybody hones in on it. Well, now if they happen then against that guy, well, this guy definitely has the chutzpah, or the chutzpah, and has the ability and the propensity to go and do a bigger slate of damage to you with a bigger frame and a bigger punch in his arsenal. At least that's what's to be assumed. I think we're going to see Ben Rodriguez answer these questions with a dramatic and impactful performance. I can guarantee, I fully believe we're going to see a performance that stands the test of time and shows to everybody that this indeed is the real deal. And Bam versus Vargas is going to put not just him on the map, because he's already on the map, but it's going to help elevate the snowballing effect of the excitement between the likes of Inoue and Bam coming down the line, which I'm so excited for. And like I said, if you weren't here before, I said we probably gonna see Bam knock out Vargas within 7 rounds, and I'm sticking by it. I'm sticking with how much that man does not move after he punches. We're gonna see Bam have his way with the likes of Vargas after probably round 2. It's going to look like a walk in the park. I would not be surprised if we do the same stuff of Bam looking like this is a Sunday stroll going up against the likes of Vargas, and it being everything looks easy, flawless, lackadaisical, in the sense of it's effortless for the likes of one of the most penultimate masters of this sport. Because even with the size advantage, Vargas doesn't bring anything extra to the table that causes the public to see him as a demonstrative figure. Causes the public to see him as a too big of a task for somebody like Bam to still do what he's been doing every which way of his career since he got into this sport against anybody and everybody. Yeah, it should be a walk in the park for the likes of Bam. And he should be able to get him out of there, at least in my estimation. But even still, let me see you all's chats. We got people in the chat right now, like with legendary Super Saiyan Jackson. How you doing? Good to see you. We appreciate you coming in on our live stream, and hopefully you're enjoying the show. Hopefully you're having a great time, and hopefully you are here for the long haul as we are starting off this Tuesday afternoon. Let me see. Salute to you and everybody else in the chat. Also, Wiseman, how you doing? Good to see you. We thank you so much for tuning in. Hopefully you are leaving a like on the videos. Hopefully you're leaving a like on the stream and keeping tabs on what we have as we're continuing to grow this community and grow this channel. And please leave a like on the stream, share the show, tell everybody that you know about what we got going on, and let people know this is the hottest show in all of the globe for boxing and beyond in the world of sports. So let me keep on reading your chats and responses from Wise Man. Bam will dominate Vargas this weekend. Do this special. The size might not make too much of a difference. I don't think it will. If we were seeing a fighter that was as big as Vargas, but a whole lot more loose, yeah, I could then say we'd have a better gauge of some potential struggles elevating. But against this type of guy, no, it's not gonna be a hard task for the likes of Vargas to deal with. It's not. And this ain't just because we've seen Vargas put face down, butt up on the canvas when he got knocked out. This ain't just because of that. Be clear. Be very clear about that. This is not, the reasoning is not just because of a one-track instance of a very demonstrative loss on the side of Vargas. It's everything. Everything that Vargas is built to fail compared to Bam. That's the truth of the matter that people have to get into. People have to understand. This is a fighter tailor-made to show the best aspects of what Bam can be. Now, this isn't a cherry pick. Be clear. It's still a title on the line. And Vargas has earned his way back up here. We understand. But that doesn't change the fact that this type of opponent, how he fights, the way he goes about his offense, the way that he is so upright and uptight at all times. Even when we saw the sparring footage of him a couple of weeks ago, y'all know what we're talking about when we're dealing with Vargas. This man is a tree that stands tall, but he's ready to get chopped down. He is. And he's been chopped down before. But it's going to be a lot more destructive this time around against a better woodworker in the likes of Bam Rodriguez, at least in my estimation. Let me see. Super Saiyan didn't know there was a size disparity until now. Yeah, no, there was. This has been the biggest concern about Bam coming up here, was the size disparity. Because again, Bam is not a big man, even though he's a dominant man. Even though it's only a couple pounds up in weight that he's moving up to, Vargas is relatively to what the size of Bam is, substantially bigger. In fact, let me actually look up the size, the tail of the tape between the two real quick. Bam versus Vargas, tail of the tape. After going through it again, looking at the disparity between each of them. Come on now. Don't do this to me. See, box wreck. I don't know why I've been having some trouble with box wreck. What in the world is going on? This is ridiculous. Hold on a second. Wait a second. It's loading. Hold on. It's loading. It's not loading. Okay, you know what? Don't worry. Look, minor hiccups. We're going to be just fine. As I'm looking up, I'll still talk to you all about this. Now, to be fair, with the size discrepancy, Bam does have the longer reach than the likes of Vargas, which is crazy. That I did not know going into this fight. Bam's got a 67-inch reach to Vargas' 66-inch reach. But even still, Bam, and even though it's a 1-inch advantage for Bam, it is a height that I believe is going to be one of the bigger struggles. Not struggle, because he's not uberly taller than the likes of Bam Rodriguez. Be clear, it's not like it's a towering 8-inch height difference between the two. That's not what we're saying. What we are saying is that when we're looking at the likes of Vargas and Bam, there is an elevated level of not just physicality, but legitimate leverage. Because some degree, Vargas is going to be punching down, Bam's going to have to be punching up. Potentially in a way that's going to be, again, because he fights so tall, he can make that 66-inch reach seem like a lot more extended than you would imagine going up against this fighter in this division. That's why I'm saying there's going to be some questions answered. And don't forget the durability. Even more than anything else involving this fight, the durability of Vargas, yes, he is vulnerable and he has been knocked down cold or knocked out cold. Can you, at this division, with the power that you have, be able to still do that same level of damage? That's going to be a big critique for a lot of people looking at this fight. Can he still be the same destructive knockout artist with 23 fights, 16 KOs on his career? And this is the last fight against the number one contender, who was, I think, Ring Magazine ranked number one in the division under Bam. He went through and knocked him out of one fell swoop while going over and dominating the fight. They want to see, just like we had with Benavidez when he was moving through the divisions of 168, 175, and now cruiserweight. Hey, can you keep up that same level of destruction when you move up in divisions? And as we saw with Benavidez, after Gavazda people had questions, after Morrell people had questions, and then they didn't get answered until after he fought Anthony Yard, and then everybody was saying, okay, yeah, this buddy is still the Benavidez that we know. Now, I was saying he was a better version. But again, that's a whole nother conversation. But the whole of the public was still having those same concerns because the dominance that you displayed was changed. It was altered. It was skewed to not look like what we had seen all this other time, which for most people would show, oh, he's not as good as he was back at the other division. He may run into some issues. Now this brother may have some problems. That's what people are going to be looking for when fighting Vargas. That's what people are going to be looking for when fighting Vargas. Is Bam still going to be the same Bam that we've seen in the past? Is Bam going to still be the same brother that is able to be destructive and powerful? Not just scoring offense, but actively putting, belt to butt to where the brother just submits. That's what people are looking for. Because we've said this before on multiple occasions, and it still bodes true. Boxing fans are fickle. They are. They absolutely are. Also, legendary. You saying orangutan horse? Yeah, I mean, look. Again, he's a unique body in all aspects of his ability. But again, I digress. Boxing fans are fickle. We don't know what we want oftentimes, and most people that are fans of the sport, we love them, we appreciate them, we're glad that you're here. At the same breath, their consistency of standard shifts and changes for a lot of different situations without context ever being thrown into the conversation. I'm serious. That's a huge problem. It's a huge problem. Most of the time we see when we're looking at the likes of any form of talking points surrounding the world of boxing. What have you done for me lately? And what did you look like in your last performance? The saying goes, you're as good as your last performance, which is true. I can agree with that. But again, with context thrown out the window, all of a sudden that conversation can get nasty real quick. Yes, it can. Yes, it can. And that's why I'm so heightened that I need to see Bam be the same. Because the challenges that this division can bring is still dangerous. But I promise you, if Bam struggles in any way against Vargas, everybody's going to be saying the same tune. This brother's a hype job. This cat ain't worth it. This man he ain't as good as y'all said he was. This was the best brother that y'all said could beat in the way after in the way beating Nakatani easily, or in their heads easily, even though it was a very competitive fight. But it's going to have that same level of vitriol going against him, saying, you ain't really all that we thought because you were supposed to get this guy out of here with the greatest of ease. Context without discussion. That's what is the issue. A lot of times when you're building up these fights, when you're trying to go and build up the hype surrounding certain things, all it takes is a performance that doesn't pique the interest and or goes below the thought processes of what you expected to see from a fighter on a day-to-day basis. Next thing you know, the whole conversation flips of what they were. I don't want that to happen to Bam. That's why I'm so adamant. I need to see this brother do exactly what he needs to do, and why I'm excited that it's Vargas that is his first fight here, because it can show everything against Vargas relatively easily without having to worry about looking like, oh, a quote-unquote fraud in the minds of people that say he isn't that great. Because there is more people than you realize that don't think this man is as great as he is, and don't think that Bam Rodriguez is the truth when it comes to a pure talent in boxing. They're stupid for it, but it don't matter, because that's what they think, unless they're proven otherwise. This fight, it may not prove it otherwise, because some people, they only want the biggest of names to say, okay, yeah, now you're the real deal. There's going to be some people that won't like Bam up until he beats Inoue. And if he doesn't do that, guess what? Everybody's going to say he's a fraud. You'd be surprised how many people are saying won't have that same level of zeal if we see him lose at any time before that, or even if he loses to the likes of Inoue or Nakatani. Once he gets to that threshold of 122, you'll be surprised. But it shouldn't surprise you, though, because you've seen it time and time before. But Vargas is built to show the best aspects of Bam to, at minimum, keep the train going. Because in all honesty, that's all he needs to do. All Bam's got to do is just keep the train going. That's it. Because everybody's already established, well, now you're the best man to beat the king. And anyway, you're the man everybody wants to see. All he has to do is just keep the train going. And he's got paydays out the wazoo, and opportunity for legacy that very few people get the chance to accomplish in their boxing lifetime, while still in his prime, and the other opponent in his prime with no qualms to be used against him. This is big in terms of the end goal. People going to detract because they're going to detract, but just keep the train going, and you got your shot like you want to get it, and I'm excited for it, no question about it. But let me keep on reading your chats and responses as we are going through and listening to you all talk on our show. Let me see. Bam is moving up in weight and will prove that he can take on even bigger challenges, just like Inoue has. And I don't deny that. Be clear. I don't deny that in the slightest. You are absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And even with that, there's more to this story than just the likes of Inoue. Because we got word that Ben Rodriguez, he's got other fish to fry in lieu of fighting Inoue if he does beat Vargas for the bantamweight title. We would assume, and I've assumed, that the second he beats Inoue is going to be next year. Boom. Both of them take a year off. They're going to be fighting against each other in January over in Japan in the 80,000 seat baseball stadium for the Undisputed Championship of the World at Super Bantamweight and the crown of the pound for pound best fighter in the globe. That's what I've said for about 6 months now. And that's what looked to be the steady track of pattern that was going to take place. But now we got some new news in the words of what we can potentially see from the likes of Ben Rodriguez, and how he can go, and he can go. The next fight he's looking to fight after this, yeah, it is in a way, but it's not the one that you think. It's actually the brother. Oh my. It's going to be the brother, Takuma Inoue, that he may be looking to fight next and trying to do a similar to Jermell Charlo. Well, not similar. The thing that we said we wanted to see Canelo do to the Charlo brothers, potentially beat Jermell, then beat Jamal, and take out both brothers, hypothetically, if they both wanted to get back for each other. And my gosh, what the storylines would have been if that happened. That's essentially what Bam wants to try to do. Take out the brothers back to back before getting his crown, deserving of a king that he potentially will be earned of. But let me go on and play this clip for you to let you see that Bam is looking to fight Takuma Inoue, the brother of Inoue, if he does beat Vargas for the bantamweight title in the WBA title.
I think that's like almost the perfect storyline to the Inoue fight. Beating his brother and then going and fighting the second brother. So I feel like I just need to stay focused on this fight, man. You know, it's a tough fight that I have in front of me, and I know I can get the job done. I will get the job done. So after that, after June 13th, then we can talk about the future. I think that's
So again, and like I said, the vagueness of focus on the fight. I want to make sure I get this stuff done. Got attacks against me. He's still focused. He's still driven, absolutely. But this is the thought process for the likes of Bam. There is an air of brotherly rivalry, an air of more. That would add a lot to that whole conversation. He goes through and takes out Takuma, and then his brother Naoya, back to back, taking both their belts in the process within 2 fights. Hey man, especially how Takuma Inoue is looking right now. Oh, that'd be huge. And if anything, it would give us a great barometer to see, okay, what could he do against the mastered style of the Inoue regime, as we've just now seen Takuma Inoue reach that zenith of his career currently, looking better than we had ever seen him before, as he won and retained the bantamweight title on his own, or a portion of the bantamweight title, I believe, around his waist again. As he went in, I believe it was for the title, when he went absolutely, decimated on the undercard of Inoue versus Nakatani. It was a sublime performance. It shocked the world. It shocked me, because I didn't think Takuma had that ability in him. May not have the same punching power, but all the other aspects of it, oh my, that brother look bad. And that brother look like, arguably, if you want to say he's potentially the best at bantamweight with what he looked in his last performance, I'm not going to blame you. If you want to say he's the second best under Bam because Bam is here, I'm not going to blame you either. I would assume Bam is the best, and then Takuma would be a second best person, talent for talent, with what Takuma looked like in his last fight. I'm fine with that. I just know that would be a major task. That would be a hard ask. Though it's something that Bam could win, that fight would be a great barometer for what we could see in the future. Bam Rodriguez versus Takuma Inoue is the fight that Bam is alluding to that he'll fight next, before fighting the brother Naoya. Bam Rodriguez versus Takuma Inoue could be a great example of what that finished product of a fight would be between Inoue and Bam ultimately. And if he can get past Takuma and a version of the Inoue style, that again, it's not perfected, but it's sure enough is good, that would be a great way to prepare yourself for what would be the truest test in the myth, not the monster, the myth that is Naoya Inoue. And my gosh, if you handle Takuma very well, it's not going to be just a semblance of, oh, he's the brother of the better brother, so now, that's not going to tell the whole story. It ain't going to tell the whole story. You're absolutely right. But it's going to say something. It's going to say something. They share some similar qualities from the standpoint of some tendencies in how they fight. Because some of the game plan and the style that we see the father of Inoue go and train, the both of them bleed into each other. There's some overlap between Inoue and Takuma. Both Inoue brothers. There is some overlap. There's some things that both translate that can work for both of them. And if Bam beat Takuma, he wouldn't have all the answers to be Inoue. No, he would not. But he may just figure out something, because it would be a semblance of the ultimate style that Inoue would have. This ain't like Raymond Ford, who's a poor man Shakur. Nah, this ain't like that. There could be some actual figuring out of the Rubik's Cube of how to stop the monster. If he does get to fight Takuma Inoue, be prepared for if that fight takes place. That's going to be a fight that can tell a lot of stuff about what can happen between Inoue and Bam. If we get Takuma versus Bam first, it's going to be very telling. I'm telling you, keep an eye out for that. That's going to be very interesting. I can promise you. But that's the roadmap. Bam versus Inoue. Takuma Inoue first, potentially. Taking and unifying the titles at bantamweight and then moving up and fighting Inoue next year. At least that's what it's looking like. So, the plans are coming into place and everything is so exciting. And be clear, the last thing about this whole fight week, it's major, it's huge. Everybody, if you can afford to buy it, buy it. Because we want this brother to be a star, because he deserves to be a big-time star with the way that he can fight and what he can do in the ring. And him being so young, he can be one of the forebearers that can carry this sport. He can. He's that good. But this can be the beginning of an insane run for this man. This can be the beginning of an insane run for this brother. A ridiculous run for this man. It's possible. For real, it is possible. And if I didn't say this before, I'm going to say this now. It's early. I understand. But there's some validity to it. We are looking at Bam Rodriguez right now coming up on 25 years old. Think about that for a second. Think about it. We're coming up with Bam Rodriguez with as much accomplishments as he's garnered. Unified champion in multiple divisions. Have had opportunities to be undisputed on multiple different occasions. But again, keep on chasing bigger oppositions at higher up weight classes. At just about 24, 25, he has established a resume that is on par or better than the majority of boxers around the globe. That's the truth. In such a short amount of time. He is on a fast track to greatness already at this stage. Again, I think he's younger than Shakur with all that he's doing. We looked at Inoue, now at 32, two-time undisputed, I believe 4-division champion, pound number one over the course of multiple years. He's been dominant in such an incredible way. No question about it. Absolutely. The other aspect that we have to look at, though, he's topping out at 126. He has said himself, by the time I get to 126, that's my last division. My body can't take it. My frame can't hold beyond that to be the best I can be. And I'm not going to rob the sport. So I'm going to go out when I know I need to go out. That's my limit. Perfectly fine. That's what the fully matured body that Inoue is. Bam. By the time he reaches the same age, this brother could legitimately go higher. Now, yes, he said before, you can see his weight class topping out at 126. Absolutely. No question. Yeah, sure. But with the way that he's moving, I'm holding out some hope. He might be able or attempt to move up beyond it. He might. Now, it's going to be a huge task. When you see names like Shakur Foster, when you see names like potentially Raymond Ford, when you see names like even at 126 Espinoza, and beyond that, let's say tried somewhere down the line 135, if he felt ever up to that monumental task, following the footsteps of, again, a Manny Pacquiao-esque career, a Roberto Duran-esque career, it would be ridiculous. But it's not out of the realm of possibility. There is enough youth in his body and enough ability for him to mature with the speed at which he's moving. We could see this man actively do what Inoue doesn't do, which is transcend beyond 126. If we see the fights that we want happen and he's successful, Inoue, Nakatani, Bam, potentially going undisputed, and all that stuff in a very short amount of time before he's potentially 28, there's a real open door that he could go through and take out or attempt to take out the other barrier threshold, which is 130. Manuel Navarrete, Shakur Foster, and others. Hypothetically, he's already said 126, he could potentially see himself there. But again, He's saying that now. And as we've known with time, age changes the way that you think. Age changes the way your body works. Age unlocks what you can and should be. I'm not saying he's gonna get no taller. I'm not saying he's gonna get no bigger. But I am saying he may be able to handle more than what he thinks he can handle right now by the time he fully maturates up. By that time, his resume could already be so spectacular that it transcends everybody else that is in this sport currently. There's some real opportunity that we could see Bam potentially push the envelope and go to 130. It's weird. It may not sound likely. It may sound like a shock to the system. But I'm telling you, he's young enough to go and accomplish everything below 130 and be successful. Clean out divisions and make it so that the only challenge left is to do what Pacquiao did and go and elevate your butt up to a higher division. Push yourself to the brink. It's possible. It may not be likely. But if we want to talk about somebody that's good enough to do it, yeah, he can. He can. I strongly believe he can. I'm holding out hope anyway. I'll say that. I'm holding out hope. Because if he did, ooh, you talking about some legendary stuff. And that's something I want to see. I'll be completely honest. That's something I want to see. But even still, we got more stuff to talk about in the world of boxing and beyond, as not just with Bam Rodriguez and his fights going down, but we got a whole host of news and drama. And I'll be completely honest, I don't want to talk about this. I don't want to delve into this. I don't want this to be a part of the conversation that we have to talk about today. However, it is something that we do need to discuss at least somewhat. At least somewhat. It pains me, but we have to. Y'all know we don't do drama. Y'all know we don't do anything except for inside the ring stuff. Y'all know we try to keep it about the fight. We try to go through and make it entertaining and exciting, but substantive for the public eye. Whether you're listening at home, on your job, in your work, wherever you may be, we appreciate you tuning in. We don't try just to beat a dead horse with rumors and hearsay involving the world of boxing. We already had it with potentially Devin Haney, Shakur. They signing with the Zone. Now we don't know who they're going to fight on the Zone. Now we're expecting they are going to fight on the Zone. Bill Haney saying that, yeah, the Zone has sent, or that there is a fight set up, confirming verbally on his own accord that there is interest from Zuffa, that the Zone wants, there is interest from Zuffa that Shakur and Haney want to take place. And in fact, I'll even play it right here so you can get the factual evidence of what's going down, so you can hear from his mouth. But again, there's more to it than just this clip. I want to paint a picture of this whole situation of conversation that's occurring. But before I do, I'll even play this to confirm all the rumors about whether or not Haney and Shakur is actually on the table, whether we believe it or not, and all that stuff. Now, from the horse's mouth himself, Bill Haney, it's real.
And covering a lot of stuff.
Wait, hold on. Let me make sure y'all can see it. Hold on, wait a minute. Okay, yes, y'all can see it. Here we go.
But I seen a lot of rumors. Can you clarify if you've been in negotiations? Have y'all been approached to sign with Zuffa? Have y'all been offered a deal with Zuffa, or is it Zuffa or Zuffa?
Well, what I can say that it's a fight on the table for Devin and Shakur with that group right now.
Okay. So are they? But they're not mentioning Keyshawn?
No.
That's a top. I would assume that's a top rank thing, right? Okay. So is this in the same?
Well, the manager knows that we're talking. He knows that we're in negotiations for it to take place. So I believe that the move that they've made to have Keyshawn Davis with the WBO, right, as a distraction. But it's a cute distraction in the sense of if he really wants to fight, we'll do them both. We'll do Keyshawn Davis and then do Shakur after. And that gives Shakur enough time to gain 2 pounds.
Again, as you can see, Haney's open to fight both, saying that Jay Prince and all that stuff, the people that are working with Top Rank, advocated, like we covered earlier, to get Keyshawn Davis number 1 contender for WBO, to make it so that they would have to fight Keyshawn before having to fight Shakur. All this, again, a lot of stuff. And if I'm going to be completely honest, between this, Keyshawn, everybody calling everybody else's son, all this stuff, can I just be one to say, I'm tired? Like, for real, like I'm tired. And I get it. This is the business side. This is the money side and all this stuff. But can I be completely honest? After what we just got for these last 2 years, I'm kind of like, again, trying to make sure I'm right in the sense of I got my information correct, got the timeline of what's occurring so we can make sure if somebody's to blame, we actually point blame correctly. Yes. But also, like, it just seems like a bunch of mess that we just want to fight. For real. We just want the stuff to take place, and I want to cover it. I want to debate about it. I love talking about it with you all, but my gosh, it just feels like at every turn, it's a lot of uncertainty and secrecy. And a lot of, I'm trying to paint a picture of Haney's ain't ducking, but is Shakur ducking, or is it even a duck at all? Or is it just Keyshawn Davis rightfully should be in position to get a fight with Devin Haney? What, are they waiting on Devin Haney and Keyshawn and Shakur all to be in a package deal to be able to make the fight actually happen? Though they're talking, there's a lot of confused nature, me looking from the outside in, that's got me like, my gosh, I'm tired. I'm really tired because it's just so much. It's just so much. But let me keep on reading what you had to say. Like with MS, what's going on with you? We appreciate you tuning in, MS, and happy that you're here joining us on our show today. Hopefully, again, you're leaving a like on the stream. One like makes a world difference on our show. Please be sure to hit like on the stream and share on the show with everybody that you can all across the globe. But let me keep on reading your thoughts and opinions. Bill is a great manager and a smart businessman. Any move he makes, he ain't putting all his eggs in the super basket. Salute. And like, I get it. Let's break it down a little bit. Bill Haney said the $100 million deals on the table, has said it now he's talking with Zuffa, and up until this point, everything crazy enough with all the stuff that we've seen with Bill Haney in the past. Now, again, not trying to throw dispersions or disrespect, but y'all can go back and look at what we've done on this show. We've had some problems. It's been a lot of, oh my goodness, stuff with Bill Haney in the past, covering some of the behind the scenes stuff. But this legit. They don't duck smoke. They talk like they want to talk, and he does put his son in the best position to make as much money as possible, with also legacy in mind, facing off against good quality names. I can't do nothing but applaud that. And this is another situation. It's another situation just like it. And he's doing the right thing and not just blindly agreeing to the offer that Zuffa wants. Because again, he understands the worth of his fighter. He understands the worth of his son. He understands the worth of the Haney name in the boxing world right now, where they're positioned and what they're able to make fights happen with, even though you have a choice of 2 those two fights, Shakur or Devin Haney, are box office fights that everybody is also on board with seeing. Not to mention, even if you don't go that route, well, you still got Ryan Garcia that everybody wants to see in a rematch. Everybody's looking to say, oh my goodness, we would love to see what that smoke would look like. And then potentially in the off chance that you choose to move up from 147 to 154, well, next thing you know, now Boots is in your dossier as we want to see that fight. Hypothetically, again, there's a lot of ways that he can go. The Haney name, though we may not, well, not, I won't say we, though I may not like the way that he fights like with other boxers, there is an undeniable quality that this man still is carrying heavy weight in this whole sport, which is true. I get that he's getting as much as he can, and you have to applaud and say, yeah, it making money. They've been sublime with it. Some of the best out right now, while not compromising the legacy. So I can only hindsight. My gosh, he's been incredible, absolutely. But for the fan in me, again, speaking as a fan, I can take my professionalism off a little bit. As a fan, I just have been inundated. I mean lambasted over social media, over Twitter, Instagram. I don't care wherever you may go. Everywhere I go has been a consistent thing of it's been shots, and I'm not talking about alcohol. I'm talking about a back and forth display between the two. Everybody's saying everybody's ducking somebody. Nobody is owning up to, or people ain't owning up to the real behind the scenes holdups of what's going on. Dana White being secretive about stuff that I'm like, hey, brother, if you're going to say something, say something. All of this is just making, as a fan, it's a whirlwind of stuff that I don't want to be a part of in this vein. Yes, it comes with the territory, but that don't mean I gotta like it. I would love to just talk about, hey, we got a fight lined up. Keyshawn about to make more money than ever. Shakur about to make more money than ever. Devin Haney about to make more money than ever. And all three of them are scheduled to have a Russian roulette of a fight against each other where they're all two people fight. Winner of that faces off against the next brother. Plain and simple. Boom. That's our 3-fight deal between the three of them. Great. Cool. Phenomenal. Hunky-dory. Everybody's all kumbaya. And now we can worry about the meat and potatoes of the matches. But it doesn't seem like that's the case. It doesn't. We're getting conspiracies, again, alleged conspiracies. We're getting alleged vagueness. We're getting a lot of secrecy in some regards. A lot of stories that may be true, may not be true. A bunch of stuff that is muddying up what we want to have as just a great debate, because the fight is great. Any of those combinations of fight, Devin Haney versus Keyshawn, Devin Haney versus Shakur, shoot, Shakur, crazy enough, versus Keyshawn Davis. If somehow this whole conversation flipped on its head, and next thing you know, they said, you know what, bump it, let's get it on with each other. Lord knows that ain't gonna happen. But if it did, my goodness, what would that be like? It would be incredible. The best thing in the world. Everybody would love that. Oh my gosh. But again, that's probably not going to happen. But just the idea of all of them within the same wheel of opportunity sounds incredible. It really does. But I feel like we can't focus on that like we should. We can't delve into that like we should. We can't hold on to those types of conversations, those types of debates, and those types of instances of discussing the fight like we want to, strictly because we can't. There's too much red tape that seems like, is it going to break through? Is it going to break through? Then it doesn't. And so it's just fun. And even still, look, you can even look at what he had with the ring as they were going back and forth with each other. Also, before I even continue, Mr. Miyagi, how you doing? Good to see you. We appreciate you on our live stream. Welcome to the show. We're happy that you're here. We appreciate all the stuff that you bring to the table and everything that you all do to help make this show oh so special. Please keep on liking the stream. Keep on sharing the show. And if you can't support, hey, Cash App, PayPal, links down below. Super chats and super glyphs galore. We're funded by you, the people. Absolutely. But again, I digress. The conversation at hand is the drama surrounding Shakur, Devin Haney, Keyshawn Davis, and will they, won't they, the constant ebb and flow, pull and tug of where that fight's going to actually take place, if it'll even happen at all. All this could just go by the wayside and we just get nothing. There's a real possibility. They're in talks with people. They're in talks with negotiations. It seems like, oh, there's hope that something will break. But again, it just feels, it's frustrating. It really is frustrating. Because it's part of the game, yes, but it does take away from the fight itself. And even with the back and forth that they have over social media, like we see right here, where Shakur tweeted at Devin Haney, and let me guess, I gotta come to your weight class to make the fight happen just because you say so. This again, as you can see, Shakur Stevenson in response to Devin Haney talking about let's make the fight, and say. Devin Haney says in response, whenever you decide to come to my weight class, let's do it. I'll fight your brother Keyshawn for now. So again, Devin Haney's alluding to that. If it don't happen with you, yeah, I got your brother. That's perfectly fine. We'll make it do what it do. But this whole, does it feel like a cat and mouse game going on between Devin and Shakur? That is a little bit frustrating. And if I'm going to be completely honest, it feels like it's Shakur that is doing the more so mouse rhetoric with this whole conversation situation. Strictly because him going through and saying he doesn't want to. First it was just want to, I think, if I remember correctly, at first it was he didn't want to fight. He didn't want to weight drain. Try to go up there. Now he doesn't want to bulk up, try to go to fight up there. But even though it is Devin Haney's division for these titles, which again makes sense because he is the best 147 pounder in the world, and it would be a one weight class jump, and you already jumped from 135 to 140. Even if you didn't fight Shakur, or even if Shakur didn't fight Devin Haney immediately, which I would understand, because again, you take a fight to see how it feels up at the new division. Perfectly fine. You would then still, though, have a fight, get adjusted, and have the opportunity to get a title against Devin Haney at 140 in your second fight. At the division where you're comfortable, where you're adjusted, where you're acclimated. You've already said you can make the weight. You've already said that your framework can work for 147 sublimely. I've even said that you're a better boxer than Devin Haney. I still believe it. But it doesn't seem like, especially when we just saw him take on Teofimo Lopez without any tune-up, without any get-up, moving up to his division, fighting and winning. Now you have another opportunity for that against the biggest name in your career outright that will solidify everything that we've said about you as an opponent, as a star, as a talent, and as a tactician and technician. More than anything else, this will literally be the answer. Who's the best technical fighter in the world? Whose defense is better? Who's the real mathematician when it comes to the equation of how to hit and not get hit? This would answer all that stuff. I think we've even seen y'all in spar before. You're familiar with the style that Devin Haney would even bring. And yet, now you saying coming up to his weight class seems like a too tall of an order. When it seems like you could do that order just fine. Now again, if I'm wrong in that sentiment, please enlighten me. Tell me. Let me know. Correct me if I'm negatively talking on this situation in a way that doesn't have a context that I'm missing. Please do. But to me, It just seems like it seems like the game just ain't moving like we just saw it move earlier in the month. I just don't understand. Let me see. I'd rather see Devin versus Keyshawn anyway, not Shakur. The style of Keyshawn Clash is better. Now, see, that I can agree with. Be clear, I can agree with it. I can absolutely agree with it. That is absolutely right. Absolutely right. I'm fine with that. I'm perfectly fine with that. Devin Haney versus Keyshawn Davis is a way better stylistic matchup than Keyshawn Davis versus Shakur. That's the truth. That is actively true. There's no debating that. Absolutely. You want to talk, Keyshawn Davis is going to be a guy that will be more willing to come get you, take more opportunities, look to land more counters, and be more deliberate in an equation of offense versus defense to try to make his offense overwhelm and back up the defense of Devin Haney, which Devin Haney likes to do, but even more so in the clinch, he's even more inclined to make a more rough and tumble affair, especially with the bigger frame potentially offering more strength to control the likes of Devin Haney. Now, when it comes to the day, he's going to be strong enough to physically handle the physicality of Devin Haney. That's going to be a whole other equation. Because now we know Devin Haney can punch. Now we know Devin Haney can actually swat. Now we know some of the stuff that landed against Keyshawn Davis when he fought against Albright the second time can also happen to him against Devin Haney with potentially more destructive force. There is a real danger there. No question. And it will be a more violent matchup that we can see occur. That would be more akin to a potential opportunity to see what we saw with Ryan Garcia against Devin Haney happen with Ryan Garcia versus Keyshawn, where the physical makeup and the power of Keyshawn makes Devin Haney be put in a very bad spot. It's possible. It's possible. It's a better stylistic clash. But for me, I would love to see the Shakur Haney fight because of the amount of mental warfare that would be ensued. Because here's the thing about that fight. Here's the thing. And I want you to listen. And again, we don't say this often. Or rather, this is something we bring up often. But it is a very poignant thing when it comes to talking about thinkers in boxing. It really is. It really is. It really is. And what you need to think about is this. That fight would be a fight of who unravels first. When we look at the mental acuity of Devin Haney and Shakur Stevens, if that fight was to take place, two people that Devin Haney, he doesn't go away from his game plan, neither does Shakur. The jab, the defense, the being able to hit and not get hit. Again, solving the equation. Two experts, geniuses, and prodigies in that regard. Perfectly fine. But now it comes down to on people that are on that much of a playing field of potentially quality. Whether you think one's better than the other is fine, but they're at least on a relatively same wavelength. Now it comes down to if success stops working, what do you do to change? And that is the biggest gripe oftentimes of a genius. It's not just because they're smart, but if they do get put in a situation where all of a sudden the answer ain't coming, we've seen people lose their mind, but they're the smartest men in the room, or women, villains all the time, master plan. Nobody can stop it. Nobody can fail what they got going on. The Riddler in Batman. But when that does indeed fail, or when something all of a sudden goes awry, what happens? Goes into a panic, goes into a manic episode, loses his mind and loses all framework of ability. And it shifts you. It changes you. That's what we want to see. If either of them can, when pushed to that forefront of potential problem, how do they not unravel? Keyshawn Davis against Devin Haney, he'll just fight harder. He'll just go for it. And again, seeing Devin Haney in trouble, yeah, it can happen. Yeah, we've seen it before. But when it comes to you're not hurt, but you're being beat, what can you do? You're not getting tagged where you're dazed, but you can't outthink the other. Now, does that ball of yarn start to elongate? Does it get smaller and smaller as the string gets pulled more and more? Or does it keep its integrity and keep its shape? That's what I'm interested in seeing if we see Devin Haney versus Shakur. Because I want to know what they got if that happens. I want to know what they got if they lose the mental mind. Not that you're just out physical, not that you're just hurting, you can't recover. I'm talking about you, the biggest thing. Your brain has been beaten by another brain, and now you gotta find a deeper level to the way that you think, to the way that you adapt, and the way that you fight, and unlock something new or lose yourself entirely to the moment. That's what I want to see against two people that don't change for nothing. That's why if I could choose, I would want to see Shakur versus Haney. Because that's a question that would drastically be more inquisitive for me. But again, that's just me. The fight itself, yeah, Keyshawn versus Keyshawn versus Haney would be a lot more entertaining. But the weight of two geniuses and somebody couldn't outthink the other, and that's their biggest claim to fame. Oh, I want to see what it's like when somebody can't think their way out of a situation. What do they resort to? What desperation would that lead to? What would then be your response, or would you lose control? I would love to see. That's me. That's me though. But that's what I would love to potentially see if we saw them fight against each other. Let me see. Keyshawn versus Haney would be potentially, Keyshawn versus Haney would potentially be more of a fight versus Shakur. Yes, the age of daring not to be great. And see, it's crazy because that we just got out of 2 years of everybody bumping up. Zapata versus, not Shakur versus Zapata. He took on a volume puncher and fought him in his own game. Him versus Tio, potential pound-for-pound level talent at that. No, not even potential. He was top 10 pound-for-pound at that point in time that he fought him, and he beat him handily. Phenomenal. Brian Norman Jr. against Devin Haney when he moved up to 147, and everybody was scared because they still had the ripples of what we saw against Ryan Garcia and how we fought against Jose Ramirez. Devin Haney looked scared of facing off against actual power. And he took on the biggest boogeyman who was champ in Brian Owen Jr. at 147, and he knocked him down, and for the first 6 rounds, beat him. I'm talking like beat him with not like just hugging. I'm talking about like actively put paws on that butt. Looking like the old Devin Haney. We just saw Benavidez, 75, cruiserweight, 175 light heavyweight, and then cruiserweight for the past 2 years. Elevating up, moving through, and dominating, becoming champion, knocking out Zerto Ramirez at cruiserweight just recently. It's crazy enough, got 2 million views in the first, 2 days? They got posted on YouTube, which is insane. Something along those lines. All I know is that we were just in Nakatani versus Inoue. We were just in the middle of people facing off against people that were big time challenges. Shoot, I'll even give credit to Berlanga. Just last year, we just had Berlanga elevate his game and try to fight against Elijah Shiraz, who was a league's better fighter than him. Again, he got knocked out absolutely, but he wasn't. He didn't run from that test, and he took it. He just got beat, plain and simple. Again, we're talking about the merit and willingness to take on the opposition. We've seen it. Canelo versus Crawford just completely defied the odds and beat him clean, almost for 12 rounds. Beat up Canelo and took his undisputed title. for walking to the sunset. Like we've seen, Boots is fighting Zayas in the first step up in competition for years. Or in years, excuse me. In terms of the significant elite jump in elevation of talent. Since Stanionis, this is going to be the biggest test in his career by far to justify his position as a marquee star fighter with star level ability. This is a jump. Because I think Boots is going to win. It still doesn't change the fact that this is the exact test we're waiting on. We're just in the middle of this type of reign where people are moving through. And then we get stuff like this, and it's just like a holdup. And it's frustrating. It's frustrating. For every Benavidez, you'll have, crazy enough, Aroli Romero, who hasn't fought in over 400 days. Well, Abdullah Mason got it, defended his title. Well, we got Lamont Welch already fighting against another opponent. Tank potentially going to fight with Floyd Schofield, which now we just got word from the likes of Floyd. In fact, I can play that clip right now because it still bleeds into the rest of our conversation of this topic of people not wanting to make fights happen. But now we got Gary Russell getting ready to fight against Pitbull Cruz. Gary Antoine Russell getting ready to fight Pitbull Cruz for the WBA title. Immediately, Ben Rodriguez, like I said, fighting Vargas, and then also already looking to fight what can be seen as potentially the second best brother in bantamweight right now, and then Floyd Schofield.
We're just
right
waiting
here,
for
though we
Tank's
can say,
team and everybody is kid off.
Excuse me, though we can say that we're concerned about his brother actually stepping into the ring. He's at least giving updates on, hey, I'm taking on the biggest test of my life, going up against Tank, and right now it looks like that fight actually may happen, and I'll actually play the clip right now because he apparently has officially sent the contract, and now we're just waiting on Tank to potentially sign it. Though he's under litigation and whatnot, doesn't change the fact. Schofield put this out. He sent it, and we're going to see what takes place, but I'll play the clip right now so you can see what's going on.
Everybody is kid off and just giving a quick update on the fight. We're just waiting for Tank's team and that side to send the contract, which I know me, I'm staying in the gym and, staying ready so we can give y'all a good fight. But Tank, PBC, send that contract. I'm ready. Everybody is...
So I apologize. I misspoke. Waiting on Tank to send the contract as he is the number one contender and also the mandatory, I believe, for Tank's WBA title at 135. And this could be the next fight that we see take place for Tank as he returns to the ring after, even amidst his whole litigation and stuff transpiring. Now, again, people may say, Tank, he's not going to have a fight while he's in this position, but also he got himself in this position, number one. And number two, because of the mandatory thing that we see with Tank and Floyd Schofield, well, now he has to make a deal or be stripped. So what's it going to be? Most likely, I would assume, because he still wants that money, he'll sign the fight. And whatever happens afterwards, well, it happens afterwards. But at least to not forfeit that money in that regard. Now, if he does relinquish the belt, fine. Hey, you got bigger fish to fry. I get it. You shouldn't have had to have fried any fish at all. But I understand if things just can't work out. But I'm assuming we'll see a contract from Tank in the near future. But even still, all that is to say, all of that is simply to say, we're seeing a hodgepodge now of stop and go momentum when we just had ebb and flow momentum where it was everything was happening all at once, all the fights, all the occurrences without any issue at all. I don't know what went wrong. I don't know what transpired. I don't know what's in the air. All I know is I don't like it. And Lord knows I hope it changes really, really quick. Real quick. My gosh, we're missing out on some great opportunities. And again, be clear. Even though with this drama is occurring, Shakur, Haney, Keyshawn, and whatnot, doesn't change the fact that at some point, they are going to have to answer that question of who reigns at the top. See, here's the thing. We can at least hang our hat on this. We can at least hang our hat on this if nothing else fails. Or excuse me, if everything else fails, excuse me. we can hang our hat on this one idea. They're going to have to answer the question of who's the best amongst the three sooner rather than later. It's going to have to happen. It's going to have to, or somebody's going to be left behind. I guarantee you, Tio, Ryan, Devin, Tank, Lomachenko, the 5 kings of 135, we remember that story. We remember them together. And guess what? Because they did not all fight each other like they were all in position to, whether it was because of negotiations, whether it was because of litigation, whether it was because of any assortment of issues, or just straight up running from the competition. Because they did not do that, somebody got left behind in the conversation, and that person now was Tank. Yes, he still carried his star power, but when it fell, it fell. And it fell hard. And now you got even on public forums like Sean Porter, Sean Zito, Max Kellerman, on public shows. It's first take. Without him, everything else has been able to move forward. And in fact, the focus of this sport has now hinged on the other names that did not drag their feet. The vestiges of what happened with that era of boxing, or rather that segment of time in boxing, still are in the minds of people today, including the fighters right now. Some who were up and coming, and some of whom were in the midst of that whole kerfuffle of drama. Because of that remembrance, they're not going to make that, most likely, they're not going to make that mistake again, to go and let stuff pass on by. Because if they do, they risk somebody losing the foothold that they had. If not now, later. Because the Pied Piper comes, whether you want it to or not. It don't matter it don't matter how it goes. You may ride for a long time, but because you don't take certain tests, certain risks, do certain things in certain points in your career, guess what? You can slip and fall real quick. Anthony Joshua, Tyson Fury. That fight should have happened years ago. Guess what happened because they both didn't get that fight done? Slipped and fell. Anthony Joshua versus Deontay Wilder should have happened years ago. Guess what happened since they didn't take that? Slipped and fell. Especially Deontay Wilder, who can let go of a multi-million, I think upwards of $100 million deal to fight against Anthony Joshua, but went back to fight against Tyson Fury. He had the trilogy. Oh, yes, he did. But at the cost of his career was never the same. And what he could have been if he had beaten AJ first, took in that test first, and then fought against Tyson Fury afterwards, would have been, the history could have changed. The amount of hype that trilogy would have had and the staying power of what we see with Deontay Wilder. I'm just keeping it a buck. It's real. It's a real problematic issue. It's a real problematic issue. Terrence Crawford, Errol Spence Jr. Yes, the fight did happen. Absolutely. It did still happen in their prime. Yes, it did. However, that fight should have happened earlier. And the side of the street argument should not have been a rightful way to hold out Terrence Crawford from getting a fight with Errol Spence Jr., whether it was by the PBC or anybody else. Subsequently, because of the long time that fight took to make it happen, though it still did happen, by the time it ended, Errol Spence, as a result of fighting him so late, that performance, yes, he just got beaten, dominated by the better man. But look at, he lost 3 years and probably the rest of his entire prime needing to recover. Instead of, he had fought him earlier, and by the time, if it's the same 3 years he came back, he probably would have been a better shell of himself than what we potentially are going to see when he comes back in the ring against Tim Tszyu. Because it would have been at least taking the test earlier, done the job, regardless of how it went. And now you still got more in the tank that we can see because of where you are in life at that point. Like I said, it may not come as soon as you think, but it comes regardless when you don't do certain things. They're trying to cast aspersion or be aggressively, demonstrative against people. But this is the truth. This is why we're saying we want to see this fight now. Because we've seen this story so many times when people keep on waiting it out, trying to do other things, instead of just doing their job. Next thing you know, somebody loses out on the opportunity. Somebody loses a fight before the fight that they want. And then now that whole deal is up in smoke. Or it's not as big as it used to be. Or because of that, you lost a portion of yourself that you can't get back. And now when you do want to go and say, well, I got to fight him now, you have no shot at winning because you weren't what you were when you should have fought him. It's a tale as old as time. And I'm not talking about Beauty and the Beast. It ain't unexpectedly. Oh no, it's fully in your control. This is not me saying we don't want to have people that don't make their fights worthwhile monetarily. Be clear. This is not me saying you take a lowball offer and then you just go and do the thing because the legacy is the biggest thing. No, still get your money. Absolutely. But there's also got to be a situation where sometimes you got to, if you ask or do too much that is overly beyond what should be taking place, you're robbing yourself of situations and your reputation that you've had. There is a difference in trying to get the best offer that you deserve versus now you going above and beyond and making it so that you are pricing yourself out of a fight or maneuvering yourself out of a fight that should happen, where everything is lined up to happen without any strings to make it not happen, at least in a very demonstrative vein. And now, because of your waiting, you have put yourself in a vulnerable state. If you don't get it now, by the time you want it, you can't have it. That's the problem. Or like what we potentially going to see with Deontay Wilder, if he does fight Anthony Joshua, it's going to be a big time payday to get knocked out because you have no chance at winning. And your legacy, because of you waiting, get worse and worse and worse. Because now when you do take these fights, eventually you were not where you should be. And the only lasting memory is, oh my gosh, if only he had fought him sooner, this could have been completely different. Instead of having him face down, butt up, knocked out on the canvas. Because guess what? He's a shell of himself. Because he waited too long. Because he did this to himself. And then fans say you're better off not taking the fight. It's just like I'm telling you, we've seen this play before. And that's why I want this fight to happen now. As quickly as possible. Please. Good gosh, please. Also, before I even continue, we got paid. Hold on a second. Matt Borges, how you doing? Good to see you. Thank you for tuning in so much. We're happy that you're here. We thank you for the $5 super chat on the day. Yes, sir. We appreciate you giving alms to the Empire and supporting our humble abode of a community. And being able to go and help us to pay some bills and to go and make this show better for you all to listen and watch all across the globe. But let me see what you have to say on the day. Boxing will die in 20 years. I promise that to you. It's a dying sport with less appeal, no matter the money in it. And now, I will say this. I will. Well, actually, hold on. Before I even respond, let me read Mr. Miyagi's chat as well in tandem with this, because I think I have a good response for this. But let me read first. It can only be said when people actually move through the sport as it was intended to operate. But I believe the sanctioning bodies are the major issue with not upholding their own rules. Both of those situations are true. Both of those are aptly correct. Boxing as a sport has been on the verge of dying for an abundance of years. Let's a little bit of a history thing. When Ali retired, everybody was saying the sport was going to fall. When Mike Tyson retired, the amount of people I know that walked away because, boxing ain't what it used to be. It was on the verge of dying then. People thought it was going to die when Floyd Mayweather retired because, oh my gosh, who can replace the best ever, TBE, the Money Team? Or TMT at that point in time as well. Who can replace that? There's no big stars anymore. This sport has been on the verge of dying for just about my entire life, I've heard. Now, it has still stood the test of time because what Max Kellerman has said is true. When boxing is at its best, there almost is no sport that can beat it because of what it's able to garner and galvanize. And over in other communities across the globe, like with the UK, like with Japan, it's becoming one of the biggest sports already established, like in the UK or in Japan, one of the fastest rising sports in all of its country. So for the States, it's dying. For the globe, it definitely isn't. You got too many stars. Ben Whitaker, Moses Atama, again, Jota Nakatani, Noya Inoue, Marlon Tapales even. You have all this other stuff. It's the States that's the problem. We are losing our luster because our stars a lot of times are moving in a way that is frustrating in many regards, especially when they're tied with each other. Now, again, I live over here, so I'm more in tune with what happens over here. It might have some of that same drama over there overseas, completely understandable. I just am not as aware. But we've seen it happen on a grand stage, like with Tyson Fury versus Usyk, Deontay Wilder versus Anthony Joshua versus Tyson Fury right now, when they're supposed to sign, and it took them years to finally actually get that fight that should have been the biggest fight in all of UK history at their prime against each other. So it's not uncommon that we've seen this. It is a consistent thing. But the sport isn't dying, but it continues to trip over its own feet. People are never going to not want to see a fight. I can say that confidently. I've had people that don't know a lick about sports. They'll watch a fight. Schoolyard brawl will get a crowd quicker than any high school football game that they have, even against their biggest rival. The biggest thing if you faced off, again, I'm using school just as a hyperbolic hypothetical. Or not hyperbole, excuse me. I'm using it as a hypothetical. You put a high school rivalry football game or football game, depending on what, in American football, soccer, or football over in the UK, whatever the case, your sport of choosing, your rival, you put them there. It's going to be big buzz. Oh, it's going to be bad. But then a fight breaks out in that same game. Everybody's talking about the fight and not the game. Immediately. The fight would never not be the biggest aspect of what goes on. We just had the NBA Finals happen yesterday. Game 3, Spurs won against the Knicks in their hometown. Crazy enough, everybody's blaming the president because the president was there and brought down all the vibes, which he did, but that's a whole other conversation. The biggest thing, one of the biggest aspects of that game was that there were a couple instances where they were about to fight. And everybody in New York was ready to go and jump the court. And I was at Buffalo Wild Wings. And I wanted to jump the court too. You know why? Because all of a sudden, everybody in the restaurant started getting up, even more than what was going on in the game. When they started pushing and shoving, Josh Hart kicking the likes of Cornette. Next thing you know, benches clearing, everybody standing up saying, oh my gosh, oh my goodness, you hearing everything. You hearing it all. The fight would never not be the thing that gets people invested. The sport will not die. I promise you it won't die. Because it still carries so much weight. It's just the ability to go and grow, to get back to the top is the problem. The ability of this sport to get back to the top of the mountain that it used to be is the issue at hand. Because it wasn't, it lost in the States specifically. It lost the consistency of the public eye to want to buy in. whether it was the storytelling, whether it was the fights that absolutely just weren't happening at all, whether it was the situations of boxers avoiding competition and or pricing themselves out and or the business of boxing adjacent to the boxers, making the fight impossible. We kept on hitting our own selves in the head. We pulled a Tyson Fury. When Tyson Fury threw an uppercut and hit himself in the head, and I think it might have counted as a scoring shot for the opposition or maybe even himself. Either way, he threw an uppercut and he hit his own self in the head, which I've never seen. But that is what boxing has done. If we did not do that, at least as much consistency, or with as much consistency, we would be so much more forward in the minds, at least of the American audience. And adding that audience to the global scale would elevate this sport even more to make it so that more people want to go through. There is a appetite for boxing. There is. You can say what you want about what's going on with Saudi Arabia and Turkey al-Sheikh. Absolutely fine. That doesn't change the fact that people over there are actually getting arrested. They are. Japan, as we're seeing right now, boxing has been one of the fastest rising sports in the globe. They just bought the 4th biggest gate in boxing history for its own version of Hagler versus Hearns. Ali versus Frazier. I don't care what you want to call it. It was that big of a matchup. And now there's one that might be even bigger over there. We are seeing the sport capture the imaginations of people across the globe, regardless of its problems. It's just the problems keep on making it stop being able to grow on that capturing. Because now when you're in it, you're there. But when you get there, now you're always saying, well, my gosh, I want to get along for the ride and I don't want to get off. But dang it, I keep having to go and stop this ride because maintenance keeps saying something's broken. But when this thing goes smooth, my gosh, is it the best experience? That's the problem with boxing. If we fix that, we will grow. But I don't think boxing will ever die. I don't think it'll ever die. Because even amongst the chaos and all the problems, it still consistently gets people to want to say, I need to see what's going on. The second, even if they don't know anything, the second they see somebody land something good, all of a sudden, oh my gosh, is he going to knock him out? I want to see where this goes. The art itself makes the investment. The consistency after that investment is made of the sport continuing to put that same type of effort forward is what can make this sport grow. Absolutely. Just without that consistency of growth and fixing the problems, we're going to run into the same issue. It would consistently stop and start. Mind you, before 2023, we were saying it was also going to die. Next thing you know, anyway, it becomes undisputed. Terrence Crawford becomes undisputed. We get 2 mega fights, and all of a sudden afterwards, Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua, Archie Beterbiev versus, Tyson Fury versus Usyk. Archie Beterbiev versus Bebo, 1 and 2. Tank versus Ryan Garcia. Oh my gosh. Devin Haney versus Ryan Garcia. Oh my gosh. We're getting the fights. But again, stop, start, pace. It's been better than it's been for the last 10 years since 2023. I can say that. This still ain't enough though. Because we keep on running into issues like what we see now. Shakur, Ryan Garcia. Or excuse me, Shakur, Devin Haney, Keyshawn Davis. The biggest problem, we're always right there. And we never, very rarely, cross that line. And we've done it more than average in these last 3 years. And it's been seen as this is one of the best times in boxing we've seen in a mighty long time. But it's still too many instances where we just get to that threshold and we just get ready to cross that finish line to get what we want, and then all of a sudden something falls apart. We're always right at the finish of something, and then something comes awry. Zuffa comes along, we're concerned. All of a sudden they get a fight with potentially Devin Haney and Shakur. Everybody's saying, my gosh, this can be huge. Can they close the deal? Is it going to happen? We're holding on. And then we get what we get now. Drama, excuses, hearsay, rumors, conspiracy, everything under the sun with everybody asking the same question, where is the fight? If we stop that, everything goes smooth. That's why the idea of a league that Zuffa could have brought was so enticing, because it could get out that issue of the in-between of business. That's why it sounded great. But with what we see with Dana White now, we can clearly see it's not what we thought. But the idea to stop that part of the problem that has been 80% of the problem every time was so enticing. We wanted to believe. We wanted to buy into it. We were excited to see it come through fruition. We were ready to finally say that aspect of the fight game is gone from our minds to make it streamlined to get the fights that we want. We still don't like streaming. We still don't like the subscriptions. We don't like being overpriced, but doggone it, at least we're getting what we at least would want to pay for at minimum, consistently, without the middleman of business consistently holding it up, because people can't seem to agree, because there's always something that seems convoluted holding back what can be done in the fans' eyes. That's why Zuffa was so, if this works, oh my gosh, this could be the answer to all of our prayers as fans. But it's not, as we see now. But that's the biggest problem of everything. That split, that one section. I'm cool with the drawing. I'm cool with the rhetoric. I'm cool with the fans throwing everything at each other. I'm cool with everything that boxing brings to the table, because all of it builds up the fight. It's just that business segment. It's the one thing with all the momentum that we build, the fighters build, and the sport itself is able to build, because everybody wants to see somebody get knocked out, especially when it's a big-time fighter versus a big-time fighter, and then it just stops. That's what's been holding the sport back so long. Also, but even still, before I even continue, we got more people in the chat. Like with Matt Borges, with another $5 super chat on the show, on the stream. We thank you for again giving all to the Empire and supporting our show on today. Let me see. Compared to then, there actually isn't anyone who's transcending boxing like Floyd that showed elite levels of boxing at best. Jake Paul is a show. And like Jake Paul, I think that ride is done with Jake Paul. Thank gosh. Excuse me. I think that ride is done with Jake Paul. Thank goodness. Thankfully, but the faces that can transcend the sport, we do have them. Tank, at least, was the closest to that point. Usyk had become a worldwide name. Anthony Joshua, when he was on top, you couldn't escape him. When I was in college, I was hearing about this brother from men and women. Oh, he's so cute. Oh, he's so chiseled. Oh, and he can punch. He can box. This brother's a killer. Like Manny Pacquiao, when he was boxing, though, again, he transcended into the 2010s with him beating Adrian Broner, with him fighting Jeff Horn. He should have beat Jeff Horn, and subsequently with Barrios, transcended the name. We have some. Tyson Fury was at close to that pillar. Canelo was at that pillar. He transcended the sport. When he was on top, I was seeing him in commercials with LeBron. I was seeing him in commercials for the PGA. I was seeing him in commercials with some of my favorite American stars. Like, it was legit. Legit. It's also, give me 1 second. Hold on a minute. Hold on 1 minute. Hold on a second. Hold on. Lighting's changed. I gotta go change the lights real quick. Hold up. Yeah, okay. All right. Yeah. We got clouds and stuff rolling in, so I want the lighting to be as consistent as possible. My apologies for having to stand up, but as I was saying, what I was saying. What was I saying? Well, I know. Shoot. The word was I saying? Hold on. What was I saying? Wait. I never forgot what I was saying. Oh, start. That's what I was thinking. Start. The star power of boxing has always been there. It has just been, in part, the consistency of keeping that star power alive because they're constantly fighting big time names and getting the fights that we want has been a problem. When Canelo was fighting against Triple G, when Canelo was fighting against Triple G again, when he was going through 168 and subsequently 160, he was giving everybody what they wanted to see. The money was there, and the come out of everybody that wanted to see it, abundant. No issue at all. None whatsoever. It just became a problem when he started going through as the big star, as the big name, and doing nothing. All of a sudden fighting John Ryder, fighting Jaime Munguia, which again, with respect, but at that point in time, bringing him up from 160. Fighting William Skull, Jermell Charlo from 154. See what I'm saying? And Benavidez was always right there, and we didn't get that fight. That's been the problem. That's been the issue. We've had the names. But again, Sugar Ray Leonard, mind you, Sugar Ray Leonard fought Roberto Duran at 24. Ali fought Sonny Liston at 23. We have had a consistency of people that have been able to make fights, make events, and do stuff early, and then keep that momentum rolling. In a way, right now is on pace to definitely be in position to go and transcend this sport. At least to show, even if I can't transcend it, doggone, I'm one of the top people in it. Because as you can see right now, I'm making money like with Canelo, more than Canelo, on par with Floyd. When I'm taking big time fights, like I'm moving the needle in a way that those big stars were able to do. We're looking at this and saying they're there. But it's not on the same pedestal. And we want it to be like that for a multiplicity of people because we got so many stars right now. Boots Ennis right now has the ability to make that transcendent step. If he fought Zayas and then Ortiz in 2 fights and then Fundora in 5 fights, next thing you know, or at least in 4 fights, as in, excuse me, let me rephrase that. If we have Boots fight Ortiz and Fundora after Zayas within his next 4 fights, or we'll say 5 to be a little bit generous, face of the sport and potentially we're reaching the heights of not just pound-for-pound conversations, but running the world of making people want to see him in the ring at any given point in time to be a transcendent star that can touch the outside of the sports world beyond just the realm of boxing. Y'all have even said that he's got that potential. David Benavidez right now is one of the hottest names in boxing and is on the pace. If he gets this fight with Bivol next or Jayapataya, all of a sudden he's got names that if he gets that on that resume, brother, he becomes one of the 3 faces in boxing. Not 4, 3, because he moves up in propensity. We have them. We really do. We really do. We got Abdullah Mason, young, hungry. Schofield, young, hungry. Ortiz, if he ever gets the ball rolling and gets a title, he may not be as young, but he definitely is hungry. Fundora, an anomaly. All of a sudden, he can, 154, he looks like the king from the standpoint of he deserves to have the division and rule, and everybody else can look at him and say, oh my gosh. We do have people that can fit that bill. We really do. It's just back in the day, all of them were doing something at the same time. So it's like a firework going off, but instead of just one every couple of hours, you got 5 fireworks going off a minute. You got an explosion that seems like the 4th of July, because all of a sudden we got a good fight, a big fight, a mega fight, a good fight here, a good fight there, a rivalry renewed, a rematch against each other. In the lieu of the rematch, I'm going to take on the next best brother. We got title unifications. We got people losing. We got people getting upset. We got people taking on tests. We got people coming back. We went all this stuff happening in succession. It wasn't that it was one man was transcending. It was that one man was doing work above everybody else while everybody else was also doing work. That's why in the NBA, you got people, while LeBron is so well known right now, it isn't just because of his longevity or because of his star power. It's also because you had Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, Carmelo Anthony, you had Dwayne Wade, you had at that point in time an older Shaq in Miami, but he was still a star at that point in time. And then subsequently afterwards, SGA, James Harden, all of them coming into Luka Doncic, now Victor Wembanyama, Nikola Jokic, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Kawhi Leonard. You had an abundance of talent coming in, and all of a sudden resetting the landscape. And while the excitement was buzzing, with everything being chaotic and entertaining, and consistently not just making new storylines, but making new types of ways to play, and an excitement that enthralled all of the basketball world. LeBron was still able to not just be in the midst of that, but outplay them all while being in the very nature of the conversation. That is what pushed him and subsequently Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, above the rest of the pack. When everything was at its highest, they still transcended what was going on. Boxing used to have that, but we lost that because the amount of elevation by the others isn't nearly as consistent. So when somebody does reach that higher level, if you've been following them, you've been entertained by them, yeah, you'll see it, you'll know it. Oh yeah, they get the same level of appeal, but again, it doesn't have that same poignant weight as if everybody was doing great stuff in their own right so consistently, and then you went and climbed a mountain still above all of that other great sounding noise that was great competition. Now the brass that blows the loudest also sounds the best because everything else also sounds really good. And there's a lot of brass horns that are blowing right now. Standing out amongst that pack all of a sudden seems oh so much more enthralling. And that, for the boxing world, they had that a little bit better. A lot better, actually, on a more consistent basis. This will be in a whole new way. It'll be in a whole new situation. Also, my bad, I'm so sorry. We've had so many people coming in and chatting. Let me actually go through and read the chats. Like with Matt Borgeson again. Thank you again for the oh gosh, $10. Oh Lord. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on now. I ain't no $10 super chat. Wait a second. Oh, I'm so sorry. I was not trying to miss your chats. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for the $10 super chat. Let me read what you got to say. In America, if you walk around with a photo of Ryan Garcia and ask who it was, you never get a right answer in the public scene. Do you do that with Fury in the UK in the 90s? Or do that with Fury in the UK and 90% of the people will know? Yeah, no, that's true. That is true. Well, Ryan Garcia may be a bad example. Strictly because streaming, Ryan Garcia is partnered with DDG, Castanet, Aiden Ross, even though I hate Aiden Ross, but the streaming world, he's been able to tap into that very much earlier. He tapped in with Jake Paul. He's been in that realm where the younger audience, like 12 to 16, 12 to early 20s, they've seen him with some of their favorite internet celebrities on a consistent basis. So he may have a better pool than most of these other stars that we can't talk about. But I see what you're saying. Ryan Garcia may not be the best example, but for most of the others, yeah, you'll be right. I'm not arguing that. You'll be right about that. And so yeah, see, Mr. Bianchi, yeah, to be fair, he's got a huge following. He does, and he got kids that do know him, even if it ain't for boxing. So his name would be more prevalent than other stars, but the sentiment I understand. The focus is on how The focus is now on the UFC. I'm just saying boxing in the way that we know it will be dead in 20 years. It'll have to change to a UFC format in the US, and that'll be perfectly fine. Be clear, I would love that. That's why I hate that Zuffa is working out the way it's working out, because I'm scared. But if it was working out like we would hope it would, that would be incredible. Number 1 fights number 2, number 3, number 5, they fight against each other. Number 10, number 12, they fight against each other. Somebody, if number 15 beats number 8, guess what? Now they're number 8. If it worked like that, even Teddy Atlas was advocating that he would have loved to have that version of I'm sorry, I thought something was wrong with my headphones. My apologies. But even Teddy Atlas was all in. He was enjoying the format of the UFC and wanted that for boxing. Be clear, I would too. I would love that too. It'd be great. It would be great. It's just the other issues surrounding that application now become a problem. But yeah, if it worked out like that, perfect. Who wouldn't love that? Who wouldn't love a sensible regime of making stuff happen where fighters don't have to go and do anything? Or fighters don't have to go and be so concerned with all this other outside stuff, because you know what to expect if you win a certain fight. But let me see. Matt Borgeson with another $5 super chat. We appreciate you giving alms to the Empire. Thank you so much for the support, and everybody else who is supporting the show. We appreciate it. Hopefully, leave a like on the stream and sharing the show with the rest of the globe so you can keep on being enthralled with the conversation that we have at hand. We're getting ready to jump into the championship rounds because we are at 156 roughly on this stream. We try to go about 2 hours 30 minutes, so we about to go into the championship rounds in a little bit. So just stay right here as we get ready for the end of this show. But let me see. Boots is so socially was it Nif that there's 0% chance that he can be promoted to U.S. audiences or sales in the U.S. You have to be good on the mic. And I think Zayas is testing him in that regard. His ability to talk. I'll say that. Zayas is testing him in that regard. See, because he's normally Boots saying, he is with, Boots saying, I'm going to get you. Oh, he's no different than me or no different than anybody else I've faced off against. The jabs that normally would suffice to get in the opponent's head or to make the public see, oh, yeah, he's too good for him. Zayas is having comebacks that are, he's wayward words. Zayas can talk. Zayas can cut a promo. Zayas can be on the mic and banter with you and get you, in this situation, he can either get you out of your game, or he can make it so that, okay, hey, you got to bring something better than that to make me believe that, yeah, you know something I don't. Because apparently, I'm thinking quicker than you. I'm throwing better jabs than you. I'm getting a better semblance of running momentum using my words. And this mental scape of the battle, I'm showing a better framework of exuberance. You're still confident, sure, but I'm winning the game right now when it comes to the will of the people. Why? Because people are starting to believe that I know I can win. With normally the way Boots talk, he ain't got no shot. He's just talking out of his butt. He don't know what he's saying. He's just gonna get knocked out. It ain't that same sentiment now for a lot of the crowd. He swayed some people into believing, okay, maybe Zayas actually got some stuff in him. Because in the face of Boots, he ain't backing down for nobody. All of a sudden, that same casual bravado, this is gonna be easy for me. I'm just different. It ain't working that same way. This is gonna show him you're gonna need some more, especially if he does indeed struggle. Because you're right, everybody. You got to be able to be entertaining. You got to be able to talk. Promos, this boxing isn't wrestling, but it still has the elements of it. You need to be able to cut a promo. You need to be able to go and say stuff that builds up your identity. and play the game of being able to talk that talk when it comes time to show that you indeed got the upper hand before the fight. Ali did it. Master at arguably the greatest ever. Margarito did it and everybody hated him. Mind you, he was terrible. Horrible person. On the standpoint of what he did as a conductor of what he did in boxing. He could talk. Mayorga, villain through and through. But he could talk. He could talk. You got Terrence Crawford, crazy enough, when he actually wanted to let his stuff go, he could talk. Very good. He didn't do it often. He would just care about the fight. But if he got to that point, like we saw with Spence, like we saw with Canelo, oh yeah, he can talk. Benavidez, he can talk. You got to be able to do it though. In most situations, Usyk, a little bit of an outlier. In a way, a little bit of an outlier. But the majority, yeah, you got to be able to speak. You got to, even Devin Haney. I'm not saying he's great, but he'll go with it. Ryan Garcia, one of the most entertaining talkers in the sport. That's why he's also been able to be so much more transcendent. Teofimo Lopez, people don't like him. Justifiably so, but guess what? That brother, he can talk his head off when it comes to selling a fight and making the opponent look foolish. Winning the fight before the fight. Now they got people saying, did he win the press conference? This is all a part of the game. And you do need to train it. And Boots is going to find out he does need to train it. And he's going to figure it out. Let me see, Canelo had to learn English to build an audience in the U.S. Yes, he did. And even now, I can walk around my local supermarket with a pic of Canelo, and they say who? And again, this is the play. Again, the U.S. is an outlier because we only care about the big stars. The U.S. is an outlier, but we're a big market. All right, what have you done for me lately? And sustained, already established greatness. That's what captures us. It's sad, but it's true. We used not to be this bad, but we are this bad. Now, it used to be we were at least better. We're not no more. But you have to be able to make yourself prevalent. All of these things are true. Selling yourself in boxing is one of the most important things you can have. As much of importance as the in-ring performances. Because when you look at it, we've seen fighters that are not that great talk themselves into a major fight strictly because they can talk and rile up the fans. Look at the likes of Rolly Romero before he beat Ryan Garcia. I said he wasn't that great. I said the only reason why this buddy was getting the fights he was getting was because he could talk his way into a contract because he was so divisive. Yes, he was immature. Yes, he wasn't nearly as poised as he was right now. But doggone it, that brother could talk his way into a contract. He could talk his way into a big fight. He could talk his way into pushing himself into places that he doesn't belong. He could do it. And he shouldn't have been in that position in the first place. Especially at that point in time. He talked his way into a fight with Tank. He talked his way into a fight with Ryan Garcia. Crazy enough, he ain't talking no more and he ain't got no fight. Might need to get back on it. But even still. It's as important as you being able to fight. At least almost. Winning is the most important thing. But selling yourself is the second most. At worst, get somebody that can be an advocate for you. Brock Lesnar is Brock Lesnar. And when he was early, and even when he came back in 2012, he wasn't talking. He could. He had some comedic elements to him, absolutely. But he wasn't talking. Paul Heyman was talking for him, the advocate for the beast. And that tandem perpetuated one of the most destructive runs, an oracle for an omen of destruction. That is what, no, excuse me, Paul Heyman, at one point in time, when he came around, was an omen for destruction for when Brock Lesnar was going to show up. If you saw him, look over your shoulder, because you got a man 6'4", 280 coming at you with the speed of a running back, getting ready to take your head off. That is what Paul Heyman was able to be for Brock. And eventually, Brock learned to be able to talk on his own. And then without Paul, he was still able to be the beast that also could sell. But it ain't wrong to have somebody that can talk for you. It ain't wrong to have somebody that can go and speak on your behalf. Bill Haney. He's doing it for Devin Haney. And they got his son a potential $100 million contract with Zuffa. Negotiated for one of the biggest bags in all the sport with one of the biggest fights potentially on the table. Why? Because he talked that talk as reckless as it could be. Teofimo Lopez, his dad. Glad he left him as a trainer, but doggone that buddy could talk. And could get in the head. Schofield's dad. And people don't like Schofield's dad. They got all minor things to say about Schofield's dad. But guess what? Because of all that talking for his son, he's now in position to fight against Tank Davis for the WBA title in the biggest payday of his life. That will undoubtedly change the course of his entire career from this point on. If you can't talk, get somebody that can. Just to be on the team to advocate for you. But you need somebody that can cause some buzz. Or cause some buzz yourself. It's a necessary thing. Let me see. Mr. Miyagi, if the sanctioning bodies didn't play favorites, you would have more names created in every division, causing buzz and more excitement. And yes, this is true. This is so true. This is so true. If the sanctioning bodies were not as inconsistent with their own ability to rank and put stuff where it needs to be, we would not be having nearly as many problems as we have right now with people not knowing what's going on, who's champion of what, and what's happening next, and would be able to put people in position to earn the shot to be great that they deserve. It would be so much easier. I use Benavidez and Canelo as the most egregious example of it because of the fact that Benavidez was in position for 2 years to get a shot at getting the same praise that he's getting right now for Zurdo Ramirez. Could have been him versus Canelo when Canelo was in his prime at 168. It could have happened when he was the mandatory for the WBO title. But my gosh, it never did because they played favorites. The IBF played favorites with Errol Spence Jr. Because the second Canelo got the title, they stripped him and immediately said a mandatory, even though they let Errol Spence do what he wanted to do with the belt. It is a problem because the sanctioning body is also feeding into it. And without policing the police, there's corruption everywhere. It's a shame. It really is. But if they did the right stuff and made the fights that should be happening, this would be a whole world of difference. Whole world of difference. No question about that. No question about that. I completely agree. Let me see. We are the market unless it's European football. And like, for boxing, I can't say that anymore. Because we just had a couple of... AJ versus Daniel Dubois just sold an 80,000 seat stadium when they broke a record for Wembley when they fought against each other. Again, Junto and Inoue broke the 4th biggest gate in boxing history solely with an all-Japan audience. Again, remember, I read a report. Talking also, I didn't even say thank you for the $2 super chat. Hold on, thank you for $2. We appreciate the $2 super chat. Matt Barks and giving more arms to the Empire. We thank you so much for the support, and we love and appreciate everything that you all are doing in the chat to make this show oh so special. We appreciate you all oh so much, and y'all are spectacular as an audience. Keep on liking the stream, sharing the show, and tell everybody that you know that this is the hottest show in all the globe. But again, I digress. For boxing, I can't say with the market anymore. We've had people sell out big-time venues without any support from the U.S. at all. Any mega fights without touching U.S. soil in the way that people wanted. Anyway, fought over here 4 times in 32 fights. The latest of which was against Ramon Cardenas. Phenomenal fight. Put him on the map for a lot of people that didn't believe he was about that hype. He was. Still is. He always was. But that audience that he got in Japan for that fight against Nakatani was strictly built from the Japanese public. Didn't get, and mind you, we were covering that fight building up to it. The amount of there was no press, relatively none, outside of maybe inside the ring, on a public forum for that fight with Inoue and Nakatani. Yet, that fight outsold Canelo. All time. We are not the market, the only market that can make boxing great. We're not the only market that can make boxing specifically an incredible affair. Be clear, we're still one of the biggest influences for what this sport can be. That has not changed. America's still one of the biggest influence factors for the globe. That I am not disputing that. But as the sole proprietor, I can't say that we're that anymore. We're the end all be all, especially now. Especially now. I can't. Making your U.S. debut doesn't have the same level of weight as it used to. American champions and American heavyweights, American Olympians don't hold the same weight as it was with Frazier when you had it with Evander Holyfield. Even a Deontay Wilder, a Richard Torres, don't hold that same level of weight. Not because it still isn't great, but because the sport has been able to branch out so much. And the emphasis of America holding that sport in the high regard, it's lost its luster. Tank didn't fight in the Olympics, yet the Olympians that did fight in the Olympics, we're not hearing anything about. Or we dropped them off the face of the map. Richard Torres has lost all support from most U.S. fans because of his loss against Sanchez. And again, he is an Olympian for us. It was supposed to be the pride and joy that takes the next step. Next thing you know, one loss, there's no... Everybody jumped the ship on him. Mind you, I said I didn't think he was that good at the heavyweight level. I said that from the jump. But even still, all support that he did have, as coming from the prodigy, the pedigree, with everything that you would want that used to be, this is making the next big star for our country up in smoke. Don't matter. I'm telling you, I don't say this because I'm trying to be against America. We got problems. Be clear. We got an abundance of problems. Holy, yes, we do. In multiplicity of ways than one, and quicker than I ever expected in these last recent 4 to 6 years. But this is adjacent to any of that. The sport itself that we used to hold in high regard, we left it by the wayside. We stopped caring about it. We did not in any way help to keep on elevating and pushing this sport as a huge thing here in the States outside of the already established stars that became made, and then we jumped on the coattails. Or the people that came from under Floyd, because be clear, that's where most of the stardom came from for the likes of Tank and others. This Tank is under Floyd Mayweather's wing. I can't wait to see what Floyd is going to make this guy do, because Floyd is a great boxer and Floyd already did so much in his career. Who knows what he can teach the next generation and what he garners in this next budding, fledgling boxer. I want to see what Floyd can do. It wasn't about Tank until Tank ultimately got his own footing. But I'm telling you, it was Floyd. Tank without Floyd, I'd shudder to think. He still would have been great, but I don't think it would have been this much of the same propensity without the already established nature of Floyd Mayweather and that stardom making Tank in a bigger spotlight than most of the other stars that were around him at that same age we're getting. I'm serious. It ain't like what it used to be. For the Americans, Mike Tyson trained with Cus D'Amato, absolutely. Great trainer. Legendary, no question about it. But then he was getting stuff from the back rooms of bad lit environments in boxing, knocking people out. Everybody was saying, who the world is this cat? He's Cus D'Amato's boy? Well, this is something completely different because I saw Floyd Patterson. This ain't that. Who the world is this man? The fighter was still the biggest interest, even though Cus D'Amato was already still a legend. It wasn't Cus that kept on sustaining what Tyson could be in the star category. He trained him. He made him. But I'm telling you, it was Tyson was the entity. For Tank, Floyd was the entity. Tank was the additive. And when Tank got to a certain point, he became the entity, but it became so much quicker strictly because everybody was focused on what is Floyd going to teach him, not what can Tank be. And then it became, oh my gosh, now I can't wait to see what Tank can be. It's happened so many times in the world of boxing here in the States in the recency of the post-2010 era. The people that were attached to the names of the star, that was the focus. The star wasn't the guy that was fighting, wasn't the main focus. It was the guy that was making him, the guy that was training. Who was he attached to? Not the man himself. Up until, okay, now he's a big enough fixture, we all should care about him. Now get out from under Floyd Mayweather's wing. You're big enough to be on your own. Which is true, but also the compliment was also perpetuated because we cared about Floyd more than we cared about you. We didn't care about your growth. We cared about what Floyd could have success through you could be. And now we've seen it, and now you're so big, and we can say, okay, cool. Floyd has started to lose some luster, and now you're the next big thing. Everybody's already bought into you. Now we can say, yeah, do what you want to do. That's the problem. That's why I say we only are excited for established stars, not for the stars that are becoming something. Abdullah Mate should be getting all the respect in the world. And yeah, he's still undervalued, overshadowed, crazy enough. And he's phenomenal. Phenomenal. So young, youngest champion in boxing right now. Can't be on a fast track to greatness. But yet, overlooked, overlapped. If he had Floyd by his mantle, there would be completely, guess who's got more buzz than him? Crazy enough, or at least on par with the likes of Abdullah Mason right now. And Abdullah Mason is a full-fledged champion. Carmel Moten. I'm still hearing people talk about Carmel Moten. I'm seeing more TikTok edits of Carmel Moten. Social media interaction on Carmel Moten. Strictly because Floyd is still attached to him heavily. Than I am for Abdullah Mason, who's got a fight coming up. Like what the world? We only care about the people that have already made it. We don't care about watching the growth of somebody that's got potential. And if they do have potential, because it's not over here, we Don't care. Notice, Richard Torres and Moses Atalma. Atalma, I said for months, he's the best young heavyweight in the world. And Torres is not on his level. Strictly because he wasn't from America. People were telling me, no, you're wrong. Torres is not like that. Torres is like that. Atalma ain't really all that proven. He ain't done nothing over here. He's been fighting bums. Old men. He ain't like that. Come over here and see what happens. Next thing you know, Torres is the knight in shining armor. Strictly because he's our guy, even though we know whose league's better. At least now we should. But the already established nature, especially one of our own, oh, we'll ride that coattail. But somebody who's without any of that, is just raw talent, just great. We don't care until you get somewhere. Yeah, it's hypocritical, but that's how, a lot of times that's how we roll over here in the States. And it's a shame, but it's the truth. But let me see, Mr. Miyagi, that Tim Sue versus Spence card is building nicely. They got Ramon Cardenas versus Sam Goodman. Yes, I did just hear about that. Yeah, that's a good fight. That's a good fight for the interim title. That's a really good fight. And you saying, I guess getting ready for any way to vacate the titles potentially. I would say, yeah, it makes sense. You still need somebody to be able to say, I'm in position to get number one petition for a shot. And if in a way does drop them after moving up to 126, again, depending on if he stays to fight Bam Rodriguez, which I still think he will. Yeah, you need an interim. You need somebody. Now, you don't need somebody. You don't need an interim belt, but it's gonna happen. It is gonna happen. Let me see. Wording is the key. U.S. could have more fighters in the lighter divisions, but because people don't watch enough, the money won't roll through. Yeah, it's a hotbed. We got so many people. 130, 135, 140. So many. For the U.S. Don't even try to advocate for us. I'm just saying it's the truth. But yeah, they don't watch it outside of who? Shakur. Or Tank. Or David Haney. And everybody else kind of falls by the wayside. Or is a bum. Because we don't know you. These are champions. Because they're not, again, elite of the best are the only people that America care about. Outside that, they don't give a hoot. They don't. It's a shame, but it's sad. But you're right. You are right in there. But let me see. Matt Borges, thank you for the $2 super chat on the day. We appreciate it so much. Let me see what you have to say. You also hear Pro Box shutting down the end of 2026. So I heard Paulie Malignaggi did like a whole sit down thing explaining what's going on. They have to cut back. And they're, to my knowledge, based on what he said, they're not shutting down, but they are going to be putting stuff behind a paywall now because it is independently funded by it's a millionaire or billionaire, however much money he's got, who's paying this out of his own pocket. And he's been funding it, but now they haven't been getting the returns necessary to be able to pay everybody what they need to pay. So they got to cut back. So now it's not shutting down to my knowledge, but it is going behind a service so that they can actually keep the lights on running, because that big of an operation funded by nobody else except for one person, even though it's got a bunch of money, if it ain't reaping some benefits accordingly, yeah, it's going to drop. So shows got to get taken off. Podcasts got to go down to once a week. Stuff got to get put by Paulie Malignaggi's words. Stuff has to be put behind paywalls. And situations are changing to make it so that everything can't just be free for the public strictly because the revenue from the ads on YouTube or the fights that are tuned in for every Wednesday that people come into is not equating to the same thing. And in Paulie's words, he was saying, this is why they kept saying they come through and everybody share, like, support, and do all that stuff, because we can only go on for as long as you all keep this support high, because of what it takes to pay the fighters, staff, lighting, commentators, people that are editing all this stuff, paying the people that do the multiple different types of shows that ProBox offers. It's a lot. It is a lot. And so they have to cut back and change the model in order to be able to stay sustainable. I hate it because I understand it is a part of business. It just sucks. Really does. Because they were quality fights, quality wars, great names that went on to become future champions. They had a roster. They had great talent. Great talent. And it's to the public. But the support, it's just not. It wasn't where it was. It wasn't where it needed to be to keep that same model going. They don't want to do this. Be clear. They don't want to do this. But if they don't do this, they are going to shut down by the end of this year. And based on Paulie's words, if they don't get a certain amount of revenue by the end of this year, even with these changes, then yeah, they will have to shut down. It's not guaranteed, but it is on the table, because the cost, one man cannot fund this with the amount of stuff that it's costing year over year. That's what Paulie Malignaggi was saying. And that's the struggle that's going with. So yeah, if you want it, go support it. Absolutely. Be a part of it. Tell people about it. Go and give them the necessary tangible support to make it so they can keep going. Because yeah, there is a risk that it can shut down. But they're trying to keep it afloat like they can. But when you're dealing with PBC and all these other competitors, promoters, DAZN, Top Rank, and others, and the licensing fees and all the big stuff they're able to do, it's heavy competition. It really is. We hope it works. I really do. I hope it works out. ProBox is a phenomenal platform. Just a phenomenal platform. Phenomenal platform. But man, it can go down. It really can. So please do support it if you can, by any means necessary. Let me see. Daniel was really bankrolling ProBox and the boxing scene. As soon as he got arrested, this organization started having issues. Yeah, man, like for real. So it's like it when you don't have that drastic of capital and partnership, it gets really hard to do these types of things. It really does. And shoot, man, I really want ProBox to work. I wanted to keep on staying sustainable. It lets other people get a chance to get a spotlight and shine, stay active, and potentially get shots at titles or interim championships or even world titles. Like it's been a great platform of quality, really has. It just doesn't have that same multi-handed backing that a lot of these other promotions are able to garner. For real. And the best thing that could potentially fix it would be sponsorships, hypothetically. But those same sponsorships, some of that comes with risk of potentially co-ownership, getting a certain percentage of said company as a whole. And yeah, it could be drastic. It could be really drastic. I mean, like if they want to keep it streaming and try to keep it so that people can see it, maybe go into stuff like Twitch, Kick, partnering with these types of platforms of, hey, we can be a professional organization that works with you all on these streaming entities, and we can have influencers come on the scene, and we can implement some of the influencer space into our thing while still keeping it the bigger fights, the quality fights we still give you. Might be the compromise necessary, maybe, to try to go and get some big influx of money, big influx of brand partnership and sponsorship while still being able to be what you are. But again, what that takes away from what pro box is trying to be, yeah, it could be a whole. It could be a whole problem. It could really be a whole problem. Let me see. Have you spoken on Casemiro versus Neri? Yeah, well, no, I haven't. And now that we're in the championship rounds, I can. And Casemiro, what was it? 5 knockdowns or 6 knockdowns in total that happened and ended in a knockout? That completely unexpected. Complete. Shocking. I'm telling you, I picked Neri to go and knock out Casemiro. I never thought in a million years that we would see that type of dominant display from Casemiro. Not because he wasn't a good fighter, but I thought Luis Neri was just straight up stronger than him. And I thought his ability to go through and land that one-hitter quitter was going to be more in his favor. Casemiro, but he dog walked. In some of those knockdowns, I was like, I didn't even think it landed that hard. But Neri was down. And he kept on going down again and again and again and again and again. I'll tell you what, that has built up that's rebuilt the conversation. Inoue versus Casemiro might just be a fight that people down the line may want to see. Because all of a sudden, I remember early in this channel's tenure, Inoue's ducking Casemiro. Casemiro's like that. Inoue don't want none of that smoke. And I was like, Inoue's way better. And I didn't buy into it. I still don't buy into it, but doggone it, I'm not going to say I can't respect what I just saw because that was insane. And as you can see, Mr. Miyagi, great performance from Casemiro, but the ref really nasty. At least 3 of those knockdowns should have not counted. And Neri actually knocked down Casemiro, but it was ruled a slip. That is true. I thought maybe 2 of them shouldn't have been knockdowns. Not 3, but 2. But on the whole, even with the mess-ups by the referee, which were true, that was still dumb. Even with what happened and the pitfalls of the referee, that fight was still like same result would have happened with good referee. Neri just got beat. Just got beat straight up. No qualms, no concerns, no. There's nothing else I can really say that could. Oh, this fight would have gone different. It wouldn't. Casemiro handled Neri totally and completely. Like I'm at a loss because again, I did not expect that at all. Not at all. Sure, knockout, absolutely. Not that. No, I've seen this man going down and up thinking that my feed or the highlights of the fight were just looping. Thinking that it was a glitch in the rendering of the video. No, he was just down that many times. I'm like Casemiro, he just reinvigorated the threat of him at 122. In fact, I believe this fight was. Let me make sure. Let me make sure. We've had some people moving up and down. Let me make sure this fight was at 122 because I don't want to be wrong about this if they were fighting at a different weight class. Hold on a second. Let me make sure. Okay, excuse me. 126. 126, not 122, 126. I had to make sure I spoke correctly because I didn't want to get I did not want to get the weight class wrong. But yeah, at 126. At 126, where Inoue's going, subsequently in a fight or two, that budding rivalry, face me now, I'm the biggest fish to fry. I'm the biggest catch that you can get because you've been ducking me all this time. At 126, now that's garnered a lot more. That's going to have a lot more hype. That's going to rekindle that conversation and fire for a lot of people, especially Casemiro's fans. Oh my gosh. It's going to be, Lord. The amount of talking he's about to have, the second anyway goes up to 126, it's about to be ridiculous. He might just go the Shannon Briggs Klitschko route. Stalk this man to Kingdom Come until he gives him a fight. He might. He just might. And if so, I wouldn't put it past him. I would not put it past him at all. Because that brother, I'm telling you, he'll go for it. He will. He absolutely will. It was a dominant performance. Some of the comments I see forget that anyway made Neary a ragdoll off the ropes and dropped Neary twice. But yeah, Casemiro did great. No, be clear. It was 2 knockdowns and Neary was out. Neary even said himself, anyways got more power than the likes of Casemiro. He does, because he put me out straight. Casemiro put me down. I wasn't knocked out, even though it was TKO. But I wasn't unconscious. But I kept getting put down. It was the volume of knockdowns was just spectacular. To do it that consecutively, you know, right, that's impressive. We're not going to diminish it. I'm not going to diminish that. And on an official standpoint, because the knockdown that potentially happened on Louis Neary was not counted, he is going to have the ability to say, I had a better performance because I didn't get knocked down like somebody that is supposed to be a monster got knocked down against the same brother at a bigger weight class. Oh my gosh. I told y'all this man is not better than me. He's going to have that in his back pocket to be able to use, as will his fans. And it's going to be insane. Let me see. And what happened when Shannon fought Klitschko? Oh, yeah, I think, well, actually, that's actually a good question. Hold on, wait a second. Because crazy enough, I don't think that fight actually happened. No, it did happen. It did happen. Vitaly destroyed him. Yeah, it did. It finally did. And Vitaly destroyed him. Vitaly destroyed him. You didn't have a decision. You won completely. And he got beat. So most likely, that's what's going to happen in this fight if they do face off against each other. I can almost assure you. But just know, that's what is most likely going to take place. That's what most likely is going to take place. And Klitschko broke his nose. Broke his nose, ruptured his eardrum, fractured his orbital bone. How the world did he not get knocked out? And mind you, that was Vitaly Klitschko. He was going at Vladimir Klitschko with that Let's Go champ, stalking him on the water, stalking him in the restaurant, throwing water at him, going through and starting fights in the middle of the street, literally tracking that man down wherever he was, trying to get a fight with Vladimir Klitschko. And it was Vitaly that beat him. He was jawing at them both, but the big one was Vladimir that never happened. But Vitaly did that. Good gosh, what the world would Vladimir have done if he had faced off against him? That was a great day in the morning. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. But yeah, talking all that talk, Casemiro's probably going to do it too. And we may see a fight against him finally at 126, potentially in the future. Let me see, Casemiro is a strong, wild gunslinger, but I would put money on anyway to jab Casemiro's face off, because if it's not Bam next, I would love to see it. I wouldn't be mad at it. I wouldn't be mad at that. If we didn't get Bam Anyway doesn't move up, or they do a catch weight hypothetically, Casemiro fights against Inoue, finally gets his match against him. It's going to be a month or two long run of some of the most ridiculous sentiments and talking points that we would have heard. Drama all abounding would most likely be the case. And it would be glorious. And he most likely get beat. But it would be so entertaining. Yeah, I would not be mad at that. I would not be mad at that at all. At all. Would not be mad at that at all. I'm telling you, it'll be incredible. It will be absolutely stupendous. But before we go, we are a little bit past our time, so we do want to make sure that we give people the chance to say whatever they can as we're going into the last call of the championship round. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to hear what you got to say one last time on our show. It's time for you all to let your voice be heard and seen, for the masses to witness and enjoy, and get yourself ready to get your last chats in for the show on any topic of discussion, whether it's the NBA, NFL, boxing, and beyond. We want to hear from you in all regards of the world of the sports landscape, and hopefully you're still liking the stream and sharing the show with the masses all across the globe. Let me see, the trash talking would be wild, and you will probably see an angry Inoue. That's why I want to see the fight. Be clear, that's why I want to see it, because we're going to see Inoue angry. We don't see that brother angry often, but boy, if we do, ooh, it's going to get some bad blood in the ring, and most likely somebody ain't going to leave on nothing but a stretcher. And I want to see Inoue get mad, because I want to see the monster lose control. If not but one time. I want to see that brother go out for blood in a way that he has never done before, and Casemiro can bring that out in him. Ooh, that will look so exciting. But also, Beach Skull, how you doing? Good to see you. Welcome back to the show. We appreciate you coming in on our live stream and joining us as we're ending off this show with a bang and with a phenomenal performance by you all in the chat. Knicks in 6, well, it's going to have to be, because doggone it, they lost game 3. Oh, buddy, there's a buzz in the air. There's a concern all around the globe as the New York Knicks lost to the Spurs on their first home court finals game since 1999, in a very close competitive affair that ended with the Spurs pulling away. Victor Wembanyama having 35, 10, and 5 on the night. I think coupled with 3 blocks and a timely chase down going up against, was it Shamit, to go through and save their lead as they were going into the fourth quarter. And I'm telling you right now, Wembanyama, I told you, he needs to score 30 to be able to make this series turn around for the Spurs and find his rhythm. And he's finally found his spots on the floor. It took him a second. It took him a minute to adapt to the physicality and strength that we saw from Cat and Mitchell Robinson, but now got it together. And boy, he's playing like an MVP. He's been averaging about 27 points this entire series and is on pace to most likely be MVP if they do win the finals. But it's going to be a long, hard road. Now they got to go back to game 4 to beat the Knicks, and potentially, with already the air sucked out of the building with them beating him the first time on their own home soil, they could potentially tie the series up 2-2 and trade home court disadvantages to cancel each other out. Now going into game 5 and 6, not only can the Knicks potentially end the series, but they need to end this series within 6 games. Because if it goes to a situation where they're not able to end it, I don't think, with how we're now seeing the offense of the Spurs be more cohesive, be more deliberate, Dylan Harper showing up like he's always been doing, but for De'Aaron Fox not choking and being essentially a shot-chucking menace with inefficiency abounding and playing like a better leader in clutch situations in the stretch. All of a sudden, Champagnie shooting like he was shooting when he was putting up 60% from the three-point range over the course of these playoffs. Getting back to that form. Everybody being able to attack the basket. The lob threat of Wemby being a more deliberate factor in the game plan to make the paint food for the Spurs. They've found the answer to counteract the fourth quarter heroics of a Jalen Brunson. Oh, yes, they have. And because of that, the Knicks' saving grace of finding offense when the Spurs don't have any, that's out the window now. That's out the window now. They're playing tenacious. They're playing physical. You saw Wembanyama shoving the back of Jalen Brunson's head, pushing him to the ground. We are seeing a level of dog, physicality, and mean streak to match the nature of what the Knicks bring on a night-to-night basis. While they're young, they're fighting like they're hungry, and they are not afraid to, I don't want to say stoop to the level, but they're not afraid to get in the trenches to match the energy given to them. And because of that, the Knicks are feeling not just the weight of that defensive pressure, but now you can't punk them like you thought. You can't goad them like you thought. I've been saying this before. They got a team of crash outs on that team. The Spurs. They're the organization of stability. They got a team of crash outs on that team. You got Victor Wembanyama putting out hits on SGA for Bismack Biyombo and Kelly Olynyk, setting the tone for the next Game 7 when it was nothing but physicality and straight up, we gonna dog you out. Vassell's getting in Hart's face. You got Cornette pushing down, likes of Josh Hart. You got benches clearing on both ends of the spectrum. De'Aaron Fox getting in the likes of Shaman's face. You got Jalen Brunson, the two stars in this series, going directly at each other, talking that talk and pushing and shoving. And Victor smiling all the way through it because this is what he wants. We're dealing with a team. They're more than just mature beyond their years. They're cut from a cloth that we normally see other champions cut from. The pressure and the viability of the moment does not make them shrink. Doesn't make the Knicks shrink either. Yeah, they lost, but like I said, they've been able to show up when needed. Cat's been playing on the MVP level for this series. And Jalen Brunson also MVP level, and as a closer, he's a closer. No question about it. Arguably the clutchest player right now that we have in the NBA when it comes to fourth quarter scoring. And the rest of that team is galvanizing behind when you need a play to make a difference. They do it. Even when they lost, OG Anunoby hit a clutch three in the corner, contested, smothered by Harper. They still keep their hopes alive. But somebody's matching their tenacity in the Spurs. And now Game 4 at the Knicks is going to be a whole lot more interesting. Because stars come out in the Garden, but it goes both ways. Both for Jalen Brunson, he performs great. But Victor, boy, now he's starting to eat on an efficient and consistent way. Yeah, it's about to be insane. This series is getting better and better as time goes on. Let me see. Casimiro would get the Emmanuel Rodriguez treatment. Yes, he would. He would. I would agree with that. It might be a little bit worse. I'm not gonna lie. It might get a little bit worse than the Rodriguez treatment. For real. For real. Don't be surprised. Don't be surprised. Let me see. Good anime about Magic to watch with the Instrading Magic system. Witch Hat Atelier. You know what? I think I saw a clip of that come across my feed. Crazy enough. And I never knew the name of it. Well, excuse me. I caught like the last bit, but I didn't get the full. And I knew it was Witch Hat something. I've been hearing more and more about that series. I'm gonna take a look at it. I'm gonna take a look at it. I'm gonna take a look at it. I'm gonna find a way to watch it. Because all of a sudden now that's getting some traction. And I'm seeing more and more of this series. And it's like there might be something to this. There might be something to this. I'm gonna go and try to watch this. At least the first couple episodes to see what it's like. Because I've been seeing some stuff that's got me that interest is a little bit peaked. It's a little bit peaked. I'm gonna go and check it out. But even still, hold on. We gotta make sure we don't go over 3 hours real quick. Hold on a second. Before we even this anime rabbit hole can go down really quickly. We gotta make sure we don't go over 3 hours today because knowing me, I'll be going for 4 hours. I gotta put myself a stopgap on my own so I can make sure I don't hold myself up. And keep you out too long. Let me see. That gets dark in the manga. Oh, it gets dark in the manga? Now, we talking like berserk dark? Or we talking like just the themes and the story? It goes from happy-go-lucky to all of a sudden Oh, it gets heavy. Type of situation. Now, one of the best magic systems. I do love me a good system. I do love me a good, sensible system that can go and explain the powers of the way the world works, and it makes sense how stuff grows and counters each other. Okay, all right. See, the more you talk, the more I'm getting invested. I'm gonna check it out. I'm gonna check it out this week. I'm gonna try to check it out this week. That has some. That got some potential. Cause I'm a sucker for some order. I tell you, I'm a sucker for some order when it comes to be for some structure. When it comes to the power scaling and power explaining dynamics of the globe. Cause I like stuff that makes sense, and if it makes sense, and I can like track it. Oh my, oh Lord. Oh, you might have something there. Let me see. Not that bad, but the things get deep. Okay. So it I'm sorry. But see, when people say stuff gets dark, I immediately go to berserk. That's my first thought. Because I'm thinking that's the depths of despair. And that's the automatic thing. When I'm thinking something's about to go take a turn. So that's my default. But if it ain't that, it's manageable. Good gosh. I'm telling you, boy, if you haven't read Berserk, by the way, or seen Berserk, the old 1990s anime, before you see the CGI 2000s one, anybody who's listening, you need to watch it. I watched it in high school while I was in study hall. If my teachers are watching, hey, I appreciate y'all. But I was watching Fist of the North Star and Berserk. Learning about on mute, nothing but subtitles. Looking to see how that show was gonna come. Boy, I'm telling you, you haven't seen Berserk. It'll change. It's one of the greatest stories you'll ever see. At the same time, one of the greatest betrayals that will make you have a scowl for about a month. Justifiably so. Justifiably so bad. It'll have you looking over your shoulder, left, right, and center. Everywhere. You won't even trust your own family. After you read that manga, you won't trust your own kin after that. But I say that in the best way possible because it's such a good. System is logical, creative, and sets rules to cast. Okay, so yeah. This is buying me in. I want to see it. And I'm going to check it out this week and check out the first couple episodes. And it might just draw me in. I might have myself another show to binge watch. But we have to get out of here. We have to go, or we're going to be above the time limit of the leeway gap that I normally give for this show. Because we got to go and prepare for Thursday afternoon. And be sure to go on and put out posts and all this stuff. And do some other business behind the scenes acumen for making this show bigger and better and grander for your viewing and listening pleasure. But we have to leave, sadly, and get out of here. Let me see. What anime is good to watch about magic? I mean, like, there's a lot. There's a lot. When it got, good gosh. I mean, now one of my friends put me on to this. Which hat, I want to say Atelier, I think that's how you say it, is the one that we just been recommended. I'm going to say, can you count it as magic? Is it counted? Fairy tale? Now, granted, Alex, good friend of mine, hey, shout out to you. He put me on the fairy tale. I used to be big detractor of it. Now, I see some of the appeal. That's a good one. What's the other one? There's another one. What's the other one? Short brother, big sword. Is it Aster? What's it called? Black Swordsman? What's that thing called? It's that short, stocky brother that's bulky as all get out. Like he built like Mike. He's built like me if I was built like Mike Tyson. But he's like buff as all get out. But he's got a sword and everybody else got magic. What is it called? Black Swordsman? Black Clover. That's what it is. That's what it was. Black Clover. That's what I'm thinking of. Black Clover. I think it's Black Clover. That's a good one. And there's one more. Doggone it. There's so many. There's so many. Let me see. Jujutsu Kaisen. Is that magic? Does that? I mean, is that? I want to say. I don't think that's magic. I think that's more so. How do we say this? It's curse energy, domains and stuff, all within like. It's hard to describe. I've put Jujutsu Kaisen. It's not magic, just like a Bankai is not magic either in Bleach. But it's a whole separate thing. Even though you can do like an abundance of things with said power system, I don't think Kaizen is necessarily that's a tough one. That's actually a really good question. I'm not sure. Jujutsu Kaisen's phenomenal show regardless. Watch it. Hand-to-hand combat's incredible. Story's incredible. I love it. But I don't know if I can call that magic. I don't know if I can call it. This should be the third one. Fullmetal Alchemist. This one. Yes. Yeah. Now, you can either go original or Brotherhood. I would advise watching Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood, which I believe is like the updated retold story of Fullmetal Alchemist. I believe it's on Netflix. If I'm not mistaken. So you should be able to watch it if you have Netflix, or again, the other means, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, if you know what I'm talking about. you can watch it there, but it should be relatively easily accessible. That great, phenomenal. Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood. Watch that one. I would advise watching that one. I think the pacing is a little bit better. Animation, again, it's phenomenal and all that stuff. And the story, it's so good. It gets dark. It gets dark. Drop of a hat now. Yo, I'm gonna tell you, it's something serious, but that one, I think you like it. I think I like it. Let me see. What you just explained, what you just explained is magic. I'm torn. Because is it magic or is it spiritual energy that you're able to do? Because they're bringing out curses and all this stuff. And so I'm like, see, we're about to go over. This is a whole nother conversation. See, because now it's a debate. What counts as magic and what doesn't count as magic in the world of anime? Because there's an argument, yeah, but then it's like when you deal with spiritual pressure, does that count as magic? Because again, Bleach is not magical. Is Nin magic? Because that's like an internal energy to where you can go to and manipulate it. You got different types of forms of Nin that you can use. And for those of you that have watched Hunter x Hunter or Hunter x Hunter, it's on Netflix again. Watch it. One of the phenomenal series if you haven't seen Hunter x Hunter. But is that magic? I don't think that's magic. In the diaspora of, spells and like, elements that make magical animes magic. Like, what's the other one? There's another one. Chi. It's chi magic. Because chi deals with some level of spiritual energy. Harnessing your internal chakras, 8 gates and all. Does that count as magic or not? This can get yes. I'm just asking the questions. Be clear. We ain't got time to debate it, act like I want you. I'm just asking the questions. Because you got all this different type of stuff. And I don't think everything is counted as magic, because I think in anime, and again, just my opinion, magic has different properties that would make it work or not work. Like, think of it, Soul Reaper. Is it Soul Eater? Excuse me, not Soul Reaper. Soul Eater. Soul Reaper, excuse me. No, it's Soul Eater. Soul Eater. Soul Eater, the show. And subsequently, Fire Force is one of those magic and one of those something different? Or is it all magic as a whole? It's interesting. Or at least it's just a debate and conversation to have. Let me see. Well, the Mexican Harry Potter is going to be which Vargas? See, you know what? Wait, they're trying to back up. Hey, you know what? The Mexican Harry Potter is gonna be which Vargas is acting this weekend. You know what? That's a great pivot. I applaud that. That's a great pivot to go and end off this show as we go and end. Y'all are ridiculous, but this is why I love y'all. But that's a great way to end off this show, to go and get ready for Thursday afternoon. So with all that being said, with a great conversation, at least I put a pin in for now. This has been another episode of the Welch Report. With me, your host, Jean Welch. We thank you all for tuning in and listening to the show. And we had a blast with you all on today's episode. We're talking about Shakur Stevenson, Devin Haney, Keyshawn Davis, as well as a whole host of great anticipation and debate in regards to Ben Rodriguez getting ready for the fight with Vargas this weekend. Him versus Inoue coming up down the line in the near future. Takuma Inoue as a potential observation of opponent and the landscape of the boxing world as we continue to go through and thrive and move forward. And with everything else, we appreciate all of you coming in and chatting on the show. Thank you to all of our donors and chatters on stream today, like with Matt Borgerson and everybody else who invested in this show. We appreciate it oh so much for coming through and making today's show oh so special and having us make the best day possible. The top chatters for today's episode, as you can see on the ticker down below, number one for, I can't remember how many weeks this is, but for another multiplicity of weeks, is Matt Borgerson. I think collectively, where's the rest of the five? Where's the rest of the five? You know what? It might be a glitch in the system. Either way, Matt, you're the number one for today. Based off of YouTube rankings, we can go through actually for the top fans on today's episode. Number one was Matt Borgerson. Number two was Mr. Miyagi. Number three was a wise man. Number four was legendary Super Saiyan. And number five was Beats Skull coming in for the top chatters on today's episode. We appreciate you all tuning in and joining in for the ride today. And thank you for showing up and showing out on our episode. Please, if you would, leave a like on the stream before you leave. Comment your thoughts and opinions on what you liked or didn't like about this show to keep us informed, to help make this show better for the viewers and listeners all across the globe. If you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Come join the empire and be a part of the hottest show in all of the globe. Be sure to hit the notification bell so you know whenever we post right here on YouTube and on every podcasting platform imaginable, so you can be able to be up to date on anything that we do in regards to this show. And please be sure, if you can support the channel before you leave, we still got Cash App, PayPal, links down below in the description, as well as super chats, super gifts, stickers, and the like down by the chat icon. And you can give it to the channel directly if you so choose to help us pay the bills and to edify this show. And we're gonna be back on Thursday talk about more of the boxing world and beyond, with the sports landscape as a whole at our feet for us to debate, witness, and enjoy, and to have fun with. No question about it. We hope you have a wonderful day. We hope you have a phenomenal afternoon. I've been Jean-Luc Welch. Y'all have been absolutely wonderful. peace, and love. Oh, we are out of here. Yes, sir. Salute to you. We're going to go and end this show out strong and get out of here. Have a wonderful afternoon. Be safe, be blessed, and we are out of here.